I'll call this. Seriously? I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up. I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
Objection. Objection.
I will fuck you up. KO. I will fuck you up. The
𝗵𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗺.
the
𝗵𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂𝗊𝗂 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗺𝗆 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗆 Trooper 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗆.
Welcome to the Weekend Live Show.
508 is where I'm from.
We run down the biggest stories of the week with you every Saturday night. Let us know in the comments right now where you reppin'.
Apache Junction, Taunton, Worcester, Long Island, Manchard, South Florida, Webster, Malden, Framingham, Tucson, Billerica, Salem, Gloucester, Moosop, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Roslindale, Moosop, Connecticut, London, Hanson, Glendale, Arizona, Lynn, Mapleville, Quincy.
Food stands, leave your clothes, buddy, and
hey, you a funny ass guy, man.
Have you ever heard of Turtleboy? Yeah? Are you a fan?
508 is where I'm from.
Hey, what's up?
508 is where I'm from.
How was that?
You a freaking idiot. Stop telling people that I'm mentally deranged and stupid.
Call me Aidan. He's more a doctor, but...
Get out of my store, please.
You're a fucking loser.
You are a loser.
You're not a journalist. You're nobody. You're not turtle hair. Don't make such fun of the criminal justice system.
NFL on the house, blog that.
Let's get this party started.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Boys, go baby, we bringing out toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom. Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this, so it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom. You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time. Tick, tick, boom.
Boom. What's up, turtle people? How's everyone doing out there tonight? Good? Good? Excellent. Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your fearless host. My Christian name is Aidan Kearney. You can call me Clarence Woods Emerson if you follow me on Facebook. Join the club, hit the follow there. You don't need to send a friend request. You can follow. It's just like a regular account, and I will, go live there every morning at the kids' bus stop, as long as I'm there, and make sure I don't get arrested. Do a little morning preview of the day. You can call me Uncle Turtleboy, as old school turtle riders are known to do. I prefer doctor, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I've earned it. And if Joe Biden gets to be a doctor, then so do I. Quite frankly, I think it's fair. I will also accept, and I've been called daddy in the past, and I've decided to allow it, despite the sexual and inappropriate connotations that it sometimes has. But I will allow it. I don't really care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. sharp, and make sure you smash that subscribe button because you don't want to miss anything. And make sure you give us a big thumbs up after the show. Maybe leave a comment here and there. I do allow commenting, even if it's negative. I'm not a coward. I allow commenting. I allow replies on my Twitter. You're allowed to do that as well. I don't care what you call me, whatever. Just be here. That's all I ask. Any business is good business. But anyway, guys, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, certainly. And by the way, daddy, I know it's going to be a little bit weird. It's certainly not required. I can understand that can be a little bit odd, especially if you're a dude. It's even odder. But I don't really care what you call me, man. Just be here. That's all I ask. Anyway, what else was I going to say? Oh, if you want to have your message, if you have a message you'd like to have read out loud during the show, you can't super chat here because they don't allow it. And that's fine, because we had the wrong opinions on President Biden's vaccine mandate a few years ago. And by the way, speaking of that, Tuesday night show. So next week, how I think I'm going to do this. I don't know. I want to do a regular show. Tuesday is going to be an election show, 100%. I will only be talking about politics that night. So if you don't agree with my politics, and let me be very clear about this. I'm conservative, okay, and not like one of those. I'm not Liz Cheney, okay. I'm not like one of those Mitt Romney. I'm like JD Vance and Josh Hawley, conservative, right? So I'm a right winger. I'm like a radical right winger, and I don't really talk about politics much on the show because it's not really what the show is about. But I do have my opinions. So if you like me, right, and you are disgusted by my political opinions, which is your right, I would recommend you don't watch Tuesday. This would be like the one day I don't watch, because I'm voting for Donald Trump on Tuesday, and I hope he wins. And I understand that upsets a lot of people, because people just, nothing gets them more fired up than politics. But I will be covering the election on Tuesday. I'm fascinated by elections in general. I love following this shit. I love the maps. I love watching Steve Kornacki and John King light up their little maps and zoom in and shit and see all the counties. I love that shit. I think it's fascinating. And this is going to be a very close election, it seems, as they all have been, really. And every Trump election is a close election, and it's going to be a very close election. If I were a betting man, if you look at the Vegas betting, like right now, the line right now, last time I saw it was, let's see, I go here and it's, wow, it got closer, bro. Holy shit. I check this shit every day. I check the polls every day. Let me show you this. So, he's been doing pretty good. I mean, they're very close. And there's 7 states that this comes down to: Arizona, Georgia, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those 7 states. Those are the only ones that are really in play. I don't think New Hampshire's in play or anything like that. Like Ohio's done, Florida's done. Those are no longer swing states, right? So it's those 7 states. And Trump lost 6 of those last time. So he's got to win back at least 2 or 3 of them. Right. And that's all it comes down to. So I check the polls and that shit like every day. And that Iowa one that came out, that's the fake. Come on, dude. Come on. Stop it with the Iowa. Iowa's not in play. Okay. I don't know who came up with that poll. All right. Come on, stop it. But, it's going to be fucking close. I mean, in my state, we all know he's going to lose by like 1 million in Massachusetts and California and all that shit. And that's fine. And, I see a Colorado for Harris person in the comments. So she's going to win that one, obviously. That used to be a swing state, Colorado. Not anymore. New Mexico, too. No more. It's funny how this shit changes over time. But so I will be covering this shit. And, I follow the lines. I don't care about the polls as much as I care about the money lines. Because to me, I'm a gambler. And if you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, it's kind of meaningless. So, you know, and that's what betting is, right? Like, you know, if a team is 7-point favorites in football, well, let's say bigger, 14-point favorites in football, and your team is the underdog, you know, if you think your team is going to win, you better put some money on it, because you can win a shitload of money, because you're going to get great odds if you're a 14-point underdog, right? So, like, I see, like, people are, like, the money is on Trump right now, or it was. I check every day, and the line has been shifting between -200 and -180 for Trump. And what that means is you have to bet 200 to win 100. Whereas Kamala was +1, like, I think last time I saw her was like +160 or something. So you bet 100 to win 160. It's an underdog, right? She's an underdog. So, you know, I look at that shit. So that's what I like. I like odds. And I'm like, well, people are betting on, like, you can win more money on. So I'm like, all these people saying Kamala's going to win. You better go bet on it then. If you think that's going to happen, you better go bet on that shit, because you can double your money, right? But I just checked the line today. I haven't checked it all day. I check the shit every day. And it's like, I go over here and now it's 130, dude. This was -200 before. And this was like +160 before. This has changed. I don't know what happened in what states. And you can see down here where it's like Arizona, Trump is favored, -290. Georgia, this one has changed. This was like -320 before. Trump is favored. Michigan, Trump was favored in this, like, not too long ago. Now all of a sudden, Democrat favored. Nevada, Trump is favored. North Carolina, Trump is favored. Pennsylvania, Jesus, Trump was favored in this one not too long ago. Now it's like fucking dead even. She's slightly favored here. And now Wisconsin, the same shit. That's changed. I'll tell you one thing. I know off the top of my head, if the Vegas favorite won in every state right now, so Trump wins Arizona, Trump wins Georgia, Harris wins Michigan, Trump wins Nevada, Trump wins North Carolina, Harris wins Pennsylvania, Harris wins Wisconsin. The final, I can do this at the top of my head, the final electoral vote with that would be 270 to 268 in favor of Harris. If every favorite won, right? That's how fucking close this is going to be. 270 to 268. That would be freaking wild. But it's going to be interesting. Okay, I'll move that. Thank you. Let me know if the static's still there. The phone was a little close to the mic. I don't know why it does that, but anyway, so that's what we're doing Tuesday. I might try to do like a regular show Wednesday, just for the regular content, because this is not typical. It used to be my content. I used to talk about a lot about politics. I just don't really do it anymore. Okay. All right, cool. Somebody says, question, if you're radical right, then why do you support her choice in abortion? Well, the baby wasn't real. So that's my take on that. And it's like, I don't want to talk about that one. Like, that's the one issue that, quite frankly, is not popular with conservatives. Like, that's a losing issue for conservatives. So that's why I think they're best to avoid it, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's just like, it's a losing issue. Like, it lost in Kansas and shit. So like, and it's just, I would just avoid talking about it at all costs if I was Republicans. That's just what I'm saying. But anyway, I don't want to talk about any of that shit tonight. I want to talk about the shitty podcast with Matt Phelps, because this guy did me wrong completely, in my opinion, and he sucks. Like, it's not sucks as a person. I want to be clear about that. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. Professionally, he sucks. All right. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, so we're gonna get to that in a moment. But again, I went off on this because I said we got kicked off because I said the wrong thing about Biden, which it does suck. You can't have like political opinions on YouTube without them kicking you off and like demonetizing you. But it's fine, because I ended up just building my own platform called Turtle Chat, and you can donate whatever amount of money you want to it, and you get to leave a comment, and I'll read the comment out loud to the class. It's pinned to the top, or you can cash at me at $Ugly _Turtleboy and do it that way. Let's see if we've got any so far. All right, we got Pamela sends $10 and goes, please don't read aloud. Haha, just kidding. I know you hate when people do that. Yes, I do, Pamela. So thank you. Very funny. Thank you. Closet Baby sends $10 and says, I'm starting to think Mello is my daddy. I think he wanted to be Closet Baby, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Get me out of this damn closet. At least you're real, Closet Baby. I'll give you that much. At least you exist. FKR, Justice for OJO, and FYI, this Closet Baby supports Trump. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Leona sends $25, says Trump needs to win. If not, we're screwed. You're the best. Turtleboy. Yeah, I get that sentiment. But I'll tell you one thing. My future is not going to be dependent on who wins on Tuesday. Like, I'll be fine either way. So I'm not screwed if Trump loses. Like, I want him. Just like I'm not screwed if, like, the Patriots, oh, not Patriots, bad example. But like, if the Celtics don't win the NBA Finals, like, I want them to win, but I'm not going to let it control my happiness. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be fine either way. I'll be good. Like, there will be certain aspects of life, I guess, that are slightly different, but I'll get through it. And it is not my politics right now, quite frankly, are free Karen Reed. So there's that, and free me as well. So there's that. Okay, cool. All right, so back to the next one is Agent O'Donnell sends 25 big ones and says, Uncle, there's so much noise right now. Let's not overlook the fact that Sean in the Gulf is a motherfucker. Again, I am just reading comments. I want to make this announcement to say I don't necessarily endorse any comment left by Turtle Chat people. But if you put money in the machine, I'm going to read your message, period. Okay? So, again, Agent O'Donnell says, there's so much noise right now. Let's not overlook the fact that Sean in the Gulf is a motherfucker. I commend you for trying to take the high road, but don't bother. He is deranged off his fucking rocker. I've never liked him, but how dare he agree with people's negative comments about you? How dare he trash Jennifer Altman and claim that Nick is a drug dealer? And let's not forget his fake 5 guys. Anytime I call him out on his bullshit, he just tells me I'm an attention seeker. To Sean, from me and a bunch of other turtle writers, go fuck yourself. So again, that is not me saying those things about Sean in the Gulf. That is a Turtle Chat Agent O'Donnell who spent $25 for me to say those words. So that's it. Again, I don't officially endorse anything anyone says in there. I've been pretty clear about what my thoughts on Sean in the Gulf are. I really don't have anything more to say about that fact. All I'm saying is that to me personally, it's never okay in any way, shape, or form to befriend and offer an olive branch to, if you will, and engage in a dialogue with people like Crusty Panties, quite frankly, or the fake victim. I mean, the fake victim lied about rape and lied about domestic violence in order to put yours truly in jail. If you want to befriend a person like that and have a friendly relationship with, that's fine. Just, you're dead to me. Like, I have nothing. Dead. Like, I have nothing to say to you whatsoever, and I'm not even going to talk about you. So there's that. Anyway, back to this. Let's see. Marie sends $5 and goes, if you know, you know, keep the faith, the truth prevails. Well, thank you very much, Marie. Linda sends $25 and goes, while we're on opposite ends of the spectrum politically, I greatly appreciate the work you've done to expose massive corruption in Massachusetts. Please stay safe, Aidan, and free Karen Reed. See, that's the spirit right there, Linda Hall. We can agree to disagree on politics, but we shouldn't let us get in the way of the fact that I'm doing important work here. You know, there's a lot of people like on Mike Crawford would call them like fake liberals, because Mike and I do not agree on anything at all politically, right? But he reached out to me in like last August or July and wanted to have me on his show, knowing that his people would not like that at all. They were not going to find that acceptable, because he was so intrigued by the Karen Reed case and just was like, she's innocent. He's right about this. Like, okay, who cares if I disagree with him on everything else? Like, he's right about this. So, and unfortunately, people like that are kind of rare, right? Like, the majority, I feel like, are like the 𝗵𝗵𝗱𝗆𝗍 of the world. And this other guy, what the fuck's his name? Oh, it's a black guy on Twitter. What the fuck? He's like Ricchio's butt buddy. I forget his name. He's like a grown man with some sort of roommate in Somerville. I forget his fucking name. Just the absolute loser. And their whole identity online for years has been like police reform. Police are out of control. We need to rein them in, and it's wrong. They have too much power, and blah 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 blah. Okay. And then this comes along where it's like, okay, massive corruption with the police. And to top it all off, like they're all like your stereotypical things that liberals don't like. Okay. They're all white. They're all men. Most of them voted for Donald Trump. Like Chris Albert was a huge MAGA guy. I'm sure Brian Albert's voting for Trump on Tuesday. I would bet the world of that. I bet he doesn't strike me as a Kamala voter. Okay. He doesn't. None of these fucking people do. Right. I guarantee they all are conservative. All of them. Right. But nevertheless, these so-called liberals are all anxious to defend them. Just cops, MAGA, white, male, everything they supposedly don't like. And they're all defending them no matter what. So they are just completely full of shit. None of these people has actual, political convictions or anything of the sort like that. So there's that. Anyway, next. Let's see. Brandon. No, we already got that one. John Monagle sends $15. He goes, on Turtle Club, you suggested that we download the Phelps podcast because you get a percentage of it. However, Phelps gets 60% of that. Touche. I will not reward his 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏 level of journalism by downloading, so I am making a dono directly to you. Well, now that's a movement right there, folks. That's a movement where you will keep 100%. I like that. I haven't even watched his podcasts, but upon hearing the reactions of free Kearney people whom I trust, and the fact that he won't allow comments tells me all I need to know about 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝗏. He could have tried to appeal to your large following for maximum downloads, but I guess he could be happy getting downloads from Plevin, 17 followers instead. Bro, bingo, John, bingo. That's the big thing here is business-wise. Ultimately, we're all businessmen, right? And you got to do what sells. You're trying to make a podcast that you want people to listen to. You know what's not going to sell? A podcast that is sympathetic to Jennifer McCabe. That's the stupidest fucking business model I've ever heard in my life. If you like burning money and wasting your time, you should do that. And apparently that is what Matt Phelps is into. He wants to be called M. William. I'm not calling a grown-ass man M. William like he's fucking E.F. Forrester or some shit. His name's Matt, okay? Matt. I mean, at what point in life do you your mama named you Matt, right? And you're like, no, I'm going to call myself M. William. So I want to sound more sophisticated. Okay, shut the fuck up, Matt. Okay, you're fucking Matt. Shut up and deal with it. Okay. Anyway, and you guys were all right. Let me just say that when I had him on the interview, you guys were all right. You always are. You always have the best instincts, right? And I didn't lose anything. I was already stuck with him at that point, so I had no choice, right? But to see how it went, and I gave it a shot. I wasn't going to jump to any conclusions, right? But y'all were right. He gave it away in that interview, and I was kind of surprised because as you're going to see tonight, right? That was not how it was, it's not supposed to be like that. All right. Anyway, yeah, the chat quiz. Yeah. So we can get all into all of that. And so yeah, like John says in his thing, it's he is getting, so my thing was, I've been promoting this, just download it and don't listen because we get paid per download. Advertisers pay him based on how many downloads he gets. So a hugely successful podcast will get more money from advertisers. Well, it's not going very well. Okay. And he's busted my chops about this through our mutual manager. And that's maybe the other problem we have is we have the same manager and who hooked me up with him. That's another story. But so he, the manager should be telling him bro, you got to sell this shit's not working. But instead it's just oh, let him be. Let the artistic genius do his fucking thing. It's horrible. It's bad. So my thing was, I'm like, I can't promote a podcast that I don't agree with. I won't do it. I don't care how much money I make. I won't do it because that would literally make me a sellout. My whole brand is I say what's on my mind, and I don't care who likes it. And I don't care if I get kicked off platforms, and I don't care if I lose advertisers. I don't care about any of that shit. I just care about telling the truth and keeping it real. It's all I've ever been about. Right. And so if I start this, like, I don't like the podcast. Right. And if I start telling people, oh, you guys should listen to this, it's really good, I'm lying. I can't fucking lie for money. I can't do it. I can't do anything except be honest with you people. And it sucks. All right. It's not good. He's got 7 episodes to get it together. I ain't holding my breath. After the second one was bad. And I'm like, okay. I talked to my manager. He's like, give him one more cheek. There's a lot of episodes to go. Okay. We'll see. And then the third one, as we're going to see, was ridiculous. Okay. So my philosophy was download it, right? And don't listen, because fuck it. We get paid per download, right? And so I get 40%. So if you don't download, then I lose too. And that's the other thing. He's costing me money. He's not just costing himself money. He's costing me money. It's like a rev share thing. It's like I should have, but I have the contract. I have no creative control. And we're going to get into that tonight, how I feel like I was kind of set up by this guy, right? And not lied to, but he misrepresented who he was and how he felt. Okay. But yeah. Anyway, no, I can't take over the podcast. It's all because there's a contract. You'll see. So what I am worried about is this. Because as you're going to see, he has, I call threatened me, right? After I put a tweet up, and I talked about this last night on Turtle Club. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, it could have been amazing. I mean, he's got the skill set, I guess, if you will, to do a podcast. Like, he knows how to do the music. I don't know how to do any of that shit, mixing shit in. I can't do that. So like, he's got the skill set. He just didn't. Oh, this was funny. Somebody made, who did that? Who did this? That's so funny. Okay. Anyway, back to this one. Let's see where it was. Man, this might be a long show tonight. I'm not gonna lie. I'm already going. This is the one. So Matt Phelps, doesn't allow, if you go on his thing, he doesn't allow replies. It's like, what kind of bitch move is that? Like, who doesn't allow? You're an internet. You live on the internet. You don't allow replies. His Twitter account, his YouTube channel doesn't allow comments. Like, how do you not allow any comments? So like, if you don't like it, you can't say that. And I asked my manager about that, and he's like, yeah, he says it's like bad for advertisers and this and that. It's like, what? So you're trying to hide commentary from advertisers? Because what kind of bullshit is that? It's just such a pussy bitch ass move. That's what I think that is. It's a pussy bitch ass move. I mean, to turn your replies off so people can't share their thoughts. Like, what? This is how the internet works. He took on a controversial case. He jumped in the middle of it, and then he took a position that he knew would be the most controversial position possible. And then he's like, I don't want to hear anybody say anything negative about me. And I'm supposed to sit here and share it and be like, this is fucking great shit, guys. Go listen to this. This is fucking dope. DMW Phelps. I'm just going to call him Grant Phelps now. Grant Smith Phelps is, go listen to him. He's got some good shit to say here. Okay. And this was the, let's see if I have it here. Like, the other day, so I share this tweet, right? Look at this tweet. I said, I can't believe this coward turned off replies. What a fraud. Within 30 minutes, right? I get a message from my manager telling me Phelps says, and so instead of coming to me, Phelps goes to the manager and says, you're already getting into personal attacks, and he wants it to stop. And he also says, don't use fake accounts to attack him either. First of all, the fact that he thinks all these people, because there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who are just ripping him to shreds online right now. Right. And you know, the fact that he thinks they're all me using fake accounts, I can't, the reek of boomerism in a comment like that. This guy reeks of boomerism. Like, look at the tweet. Look at all the fucking hashtags. Bro, I told you, this is a boomer shit with the hashtags. Like, no one, if you search the hashtag William Phelps, it's all him. It's just all him. There's nobody else is talking about this. Hashtag victims matter. I can't even read this shit. Like, what is going on? Like, what is going on here? But whatever, okay? I'm allowed to have my opinion. And in my opinion, it's cowardly to turn off replies, okay? So that's not a personal attack. That's my opinion about his business methods. This is not, I don't care about his personal life. I'm sure he's a fine person, okay? I'm sure there's a lot of people, friends have good things to say about him, probably. Family, okay? All I care about, I'm not friends with him. I'm a business partner of his. And right now, the business is being driven into the ground by this shit because it's garbage. And he's saying, and I said, what a fraud. And he's saying, I go, I go, you can tell him I don't use fake accounts. I put my word on everything I say, and there's no personal attacks. He's being a sensitive little bitch. And he said, coward and fraud is personal. No, it's not. They're opinions. In my opinion, he's a coward. Okay. In my opinion, he's somewhat of a fraud too, because as you're going to see in his messages with me and in his emails with me, which I'm going to show, he clearly gave me the position that he thought the McAlberts were guilty as sin. That is clearly what he believed. And then he does this. That feels like I've been defrauded. Does it not? What other word could you use to describe that? Dishonest? Would you prefer dishonest? Would that be a personal attack? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Personal attacks? Grow the fuck up and welcome to the internet, Matt. Okay, that's your name. You're Matt. And I did invite him on. I want to read my message that I sent him tonight, just to be very clear. This was my message because I don't like just talk shit about people. That's not what I do. I like to have conversations. So I said to him the following. Hi, Matt. Tonight on the show, I'm going to be doing a fair and balanced critique of the first 3 episodes of the podcast. I wanted to extend an invitation to you to come on and discuss it with me so that you have an opportunity to defend your position and your work. As you know, I feel misled by your intentions, and there are several pieces of misinformation you've reported. I understand you told my manager that there will be consequences for me. We said that there will be consequences for me expressing my opinions about you as it pertains to your work on this podcast. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but if you'd like to clarify on the show, you're more than welcome. Regardless of our disagreements, I believe that we both have a vested financial interest in this together to continue to promote the podcast. And I think that a debate between us would build some buzz. Let me know if you'd like a StreamYard link. So he has not replied to me. So he has he's not taking this opportunity to have an adult conversation with me. Maybe he'll cry to my manager again later. That seems to be what he prefers to do. Okay. So, he also sent this, right? So after that tweet goes up, I go, we talked about this. It's not name calling. I think he's both of those things. People who turn off replies and block critics are cowards. Okay. And he says, I told you to keep it on content, not personal attacks. I said, bro, he said that Karen Reed pretended to be suicidal and had her dad make up that lie to have her section. That's, as we're going to see, that's what he says. Do you understand how offensive that is to people who have struggled with suicidal thoughts? Do you have any fucking clue how offensive that is? Do you have any clue how offensive that is to Bill Reed? Have you spoken to Bill Reed? Have you done that? Have you actually asked him? I dare you, Matty boy, to say that to Bill Reed's face. Go up to him and say, I think you're lying, or you might be lying. Just say that. Just throw your asinine theory out there to Bill Reed to his face about his daughter. And I'll pay you $1 million to do it, but you won't because you're the C word. Because you're the C word that you don't like being called because it's a personal attack. So I told you I was going to call him names. This doesn't violate the contract. And he said, and you said you'd match it with the content. You didn't do that, Matt. And so I go, so is the podcast still on? He goes, as long as you keep your comments and criticisms of him on the content, which I'm doing. Okay. He found calling him a coward and a fraud a personal attack. So he found it a personal attack. He gets to decide what's a personal attack. It's a professional attack, not a personal one. And by the way, all these other motherfuckers who trust me think this too. And if I don't say that, people are going to think I'm a fraud. And you ain't going to fuck with my reputation like that, Matt. Not going to happen. Okay. He found calling him a coward and a fraud a personal attack. And if you personally attack him again, so again, this is a message he's sending. If you personally attack him again, there will be consequences. Consequences. Don't let me be very clear to Matt Phelps. If these are your exact words, or if this has somehow been misread through our manager, because you can't talk to me like a fucking man directly because you're a coward. You won't just talk to me. If you think that you can scare me with your threats of quote unquote consequences, you're fucking with the wrong guy. I'm not that guy. I'm the other guy who is not afraid of litigation. Like, don't fucking, if you want to do that and you want to go there and you want to debate in court and you want to tell a fucking judge that he's personally attacking me with his opinions, the contract should be voided. And I talked to my manager about this and I said, what happens? So am I allowed? And so we went through the whole contract, and I'll show you guys part of it tonight. And there's nothing in there that says I can't criticize him. Nothing. And it's like, well, you have to promote the podcast. Yeah. Okay. I've done that. I had him on my show. I interviewed him. I've shared it myself. I'm going to continue to urge people to download it. Download the fuck out of this thing. Okay. I get 40% of every download. So download the fuck out of that shit. I don't care. Okay. Help me make money. Who cares if he makes money too? Or you just do what John Monaco does and throw some donos. Okay. Whatever you want to do. All right. And so why not get out of it? Because then I don't get paid, Bridget. Like I've invested my labor into this. I've invested a lot of fucking hours into this podcast. A lot of hours. So I'm not just going to throw that out the window. Like, why would I do that? So what? So he can keep 100% of the profits? No. I'm going to get my 40%, period. I'm not giving him that. And you're right. Negative promotion is still promotion. Exactly. Like, at least I'm talking about it. I'm going to put a poll up in the chat right now. Because my manager keeps telling me that, he's a famous podcaster, he's big name. I gotta be honest, I never heard of him before. So I'm gonna ask you right this. Okay. Okay. So the question has been posed in the chat. Have you ever heard of Matt Phelps prior to this podcast? Okay. That's what I want to know from you fine people. And I'm just curious. Okay. So far, 600 people have voted and it's 95-5. No. So 95% of you never heard from him. So who is gaining more out of this business relationship? Who is gaining? Because he's heard of me. Everybody's fucking heard of me. I'm at the center of the biggest fucking murder trial in the country. And that's not me sucking my dick. It's an undeniable fact that I've done insane amounts of journalism in this case. And as a result, I've become somewhat famous. Okay? That's not me blowing myself. That's me telling you an undeniable fact. So he's getting significantly more out of this relationship, quite frankly, than I am, because nobody's listening to his podcast without me, right? You all. And so I have this huge audience that he could just get. If he just, imagine if Julie Miller did a podcast with me, how much fucking money she'd make. Because Julie Miller is a real journalist, who gets to the bottom of shit, man. And that Vanity Fair, I'm telling my manager this, I'm like, listen to the Vanity Fair article. Like, look at the reaction to it. Everybody is reading that shit. Everyone is reading that. Everyone's sharing about it. Everyone's talking about it. All this stuff. Right? because it's pro Karen Reed, because it's telling the truth. And that's what I mean by pro Karen Reed. Karen Reed's got the truth on her side. So it's got the truth on her side. So that's why it's selling well. If you do a podcast like that, it is going to sell like fucking hotcakes. But I'm seeing all these comments from people who understandably don't want to download it, because why would they give up an hour of their life listening to Jennifer McCabe porn? Because that's what it is. Okay? That's what it is. So anyway, yeah, he's like, keep it, blah, blah, blah. And then I said last night that he, about the threat, because I consider the consequences thing threatening. And he messages my manager. He's like, you're posting that he threatened you? That's not true. Not a good start. And I said, I challenge you to read the comments on my Turtleboy stream. And he's like, just don't make up bullshit, man. I said, I never threatened. He goes, he never threatened you. I'm like, he said there would be consequences for me speaking my mind on him. That's a threat. He goes, no, not speaking your mind. If you personally attacked him, it's still a threat, because what he considers a personal attack is fucking me saying he's not good at his job. We've been over this. I go, I'm not doing this again. He goes, correct that. My manager's telling me, correct that. No, I'm not. I don't know where these people get off that they can control me. I will not be controlled. Okay. I need a new manager too, as you guys can clearly see. And I need a lawyer. That's the other thing. Clearly I need a lawyer, because what I'm worried about is these chiselers are going to say, well, the contract's voided. Phelps gets to keep 100% of it. And nope. So I need a lawyer. If anybody wants to email me, my email is turtleboysports@gmail.com. And like an entertainment, like a contract lawyer, entertainment. I don't know. I need somebody in my corner now that this is continuing to grow. And people like, you have two great lawyers, Bettero and Brado. They're criminal defense attorneys, guys. They do criminal defense. It's a different kind of law, So again, and that's the other thing, Kate. Why did he think this was a good fit for you? We're going to see too. And I go back and I'm reading, if you look at the hashtag #William Phelps, it's like there's only 2 people using that hashtag since 2013. And it's quite clear that like he knows him. He represents both of us. And so obviously this is a conflict, in my opinion. It's a conflict because we are not getting along and he represents both of us. And so that's a problem, right? That's an obvious problem. So I need, Barrera does that too. Yeah, Barrera would be good for that. Maybe I should talk to him. But yeah, I am this is promoting it. I'm doing my job. I'm fulfilling my contractual obligations. I'm not going to let this guy, he already fucked up the podcast. He's not going to get my 40%. That's not going to happen. So anyway, that's that. So we're going to listen to we're going to need some more on that shit tonight. Let me see if we got any more turtle chats before we start listening to this. It's almost 10. We haven't even fucking started. Okay. Let me just bang through some of these. Colleen sends 25 and goes, I'm donating so I don't support that clown. Thank you very much, Colleen. CC sends $5 and goes, Dr. Turtleboy, please fire your manager and let us know if we should download your shows besides just subscribing so you get more advertisers. Love you and free Karen Reed, free Turtleboy. Thank you. Again, yeah, I would definitely suggest downloading it because I'm going to fulfill my contractual obligations and continue to promote this podcast as I have agreed to, because I'm not going to do anything to fuck that up. Marie sends $5 and goes, how can you be a business partner of someone that isn't truthful and honest? There has to be a boundary. And that's the thing. I don't find him to be honest in this whole podcast. BLT sends $10 and goes, I listened to episode 1 of Matt Phelps' podcast and I quit 3 minutes into episode 2. I will begrudgingly download them all just for you. See what I'm saying, Matt? This is my fucking audience. This is how loyal these people are. They hate you. They don't like you at all. They hate your podcast. But they're still willing to download it just because they like me, out of loyalty to me. Okay? That is a loyalty you will never understand. Okay? Because nobody has that kind of brand. Nobody. Only me. You're lucky to have me on your podcast. You are lucky to. That's it. Anyway, and then she goes, then just re-listen to some of your golden oldies. You have my respect. Keep it up. And again, I will do if I have to do a weekly thing where we criticize and listen. Maybe I'll have a good one. I don't fucking know. If he has a good one, I'll let him know. I think that's good. Ann sends $25 and goes, for you in lieu of listening to Phelps. Thank you for all you do. I love you. I love you too. And thank you very much. Semolina sends $15 and goes, Nick Lanza is a loser and he's too cowardly to talk to me on Twitter since his family drama was exposed. Ooh, he allegedly assaulted his parents in Leominster. That's not good. So this is for him and other trolls. But Aidan, I had a question about the doc that had to ditch Gretchen Voss. Did you agree to save the project? So they have not officially been ditched yet. But I did have a talk with my guy today from Compelling Pictures, my guy Jeff Caligari, who is excellent. And he's a real big, he's got a lot of connections. And he's willing to put his money where his mouth is and invest millions of dollars of his own money into this project that we are doing, and which is going to be not only a documentary, but a Hollywood film. And boy, the people that we have lined up for our doc, like Sandpaper is not happy about it. Like we have Sandpaper by the balls. All right. We have, like, they don't have me. Like Sandpaper knows everybody they talk to is like, where did you hear about the story? Turtleboy. They can't get me. I will not do any interview or work with Sandpaper. I will not do a Gretchen Voss production. I will not take part in it, period. I will not take any part in any pro McAlbert bullshit. You will not, there isn't enough money in the world that you could pay me to do that. Nothing. I can make a fine living telling the truth. I don't need to sell out for more. I don't need to. I'm good. I'm comfortable. Okay. So, we've got people like we have all the major players on our team on Compelling Pictures. We got them all, and they got nobody. They got nobody, bro. They got Gretchen. They got Paul O'Keefe, right? Who's about as interesting as a bag of rocks, right? And who's the least interest? They have the least interesting victims family ever. You have Peggy O'Keefe, who's again said a grand total of 2 words. Where's Lindsay? That's it. That's the entirety of everything she said throughout this whole thing. That's who they got. They got Jennifer McCabe. They got a bunch of people who odds are will eventually be federally indicted. And that's who they got. And they're going to look fucking stupid if they go ahead. So I hope they're because I've been contacted by Sandpaper. I hope y'all are watching this shit because they're British. They don't understand. The British people, they love to win awards. That's their big thing. They like to make award-winning documentaries. You ain't gonna win any awards with Jennifer McCabe, sweetheart. That's not how it's gonna happen. You want to win some awards? Come to Daddy. We'll win some awards over here. You will have the best documentary ever, or you don't, and we make our own fucking doc. We're Compelling Pictures, and we fucking sell it to Netflix too, like the Scott Peterson thing. There's 2 documentaries that came out at the same time about Scott Peterson. One had him in it, and one didn't. Which one do you think did better? Right? I ain't Scott Peterson, obviously, but you get my point. If you don't have the fucking major players in it, your documentary is going to suck. And poor Karen Reed's got a different documentary that I don't know where the fuck that one's going, but that's hopefully her contract runs up. She can come join us because we got all the players at Compelling Pictures, all the players. So anyway, so there's that. Yeah, maybe they got Hot Pocket on there. Maybe they got Megabeth. I don't know. Who's next? Danny sends $10, goes, just for keeping it real about the crappy podcast. Thank you, Danny. Just Irish sends $10 and goes, I'm with John Monagle. Here's my 40%. Fuck you, Phelps, you loser. Love you, Doc, and all my fellow turtle riders. So thank you, Just Irish. Colorado Trumper sends $10 and goes, go Turtleboy. Thank you very much. And then Beanbag Ron sends $10 and goes, who's worse, Krusty or Bob Murchison? Krusty, not even close. Answer WMW Phelps. That's a good one. That's a good one, Beanbag Ron. I like that. Marie sends $10 and goes, if you know, you know. Fuck the McAlberts. I'm praying they will be deposed and have to spill the tea. Although I think they will plead the 5th. I don't know if they can in the civil deposition. I don't know how that works. Kristen sends $25 and goes, hi, Doc. Love you. Could you go over the 5 questions on the ballot for mass? We could do that on Tuesday. Thank you very much, Kristen. All I know is 100% I'm voting no on 5. Without a doubt, no on 5. And I thought about it today. I'm going to vote yes on 2. Even though, because I just don't, as a former teacher, I know that like this whole accountability, holding teachers and basing teachers, you know, how good they do at their job based on standardized test scores is bullshit. That's bullshit. All standardized test scores do is tell us what we already know. Socioeconomics matters. If you live in a fucking poor neighborhood and you grow up in poverty, you are less likely to succeed in school. It's just, and it's not the teacher's fault, and it's not the school's fault. Okay. It's just socioeconomics. That's how it works. And that's all the MCAS does for us, is tell us what we already fucking know. Let me guess. I haven't looked at any MCAS scores in a while, but I'm guessing the district that I live in, Wachusett Regional School District, does better than South High School, Worcester South High School, where I went to school. I'm just going to guess. I'm just guessing. I haven't looked over any of it. But why is that? Because Holden's fucking nice. And Maine South is a shithole. That's how, like that. That's just what I'm guessing. That there's a pond in Maine South called Dead Hooker Pond. Okay. We don't have a Dead Hooker Pond in Holden. Therefore, we're probably going to do better on the MCAS. So all the MCAS does is tell us what we already fucking know. Kids from impoverished backgrounds don't do as well in school. Boom. I don't need to fucking have MCAS to do that. How many fucking millions of dollars are being spent on this goddamn test? Fuck it. I'm voting absolutely yes on 2 and no on 5. I haven't even looked at the other ones yet. So there's that. Okay, cool. All right. Next is let's see. Joan sends $10 and goes, please just say Joan and not my last name. Turtleboy Sean of the Gulf put up a screenshot allegedly of Mr. O'Keefe stating that there is a 12-minute video which shows his involvement in having John O'Keefe's traverse towed and fixed to hide evidence. I think it's disgraceful to put an alleged screenshot of Mr. O'Keefe with zero ID and allege there is a video support. Thank you. Again, Joan, I agree with you on that one. If he's got the proof, show it's his dad. Show it. If it's a screenshot of his text message, show it's his fucking number. Show the fucking video. Enough of this. Hide the wait till you see what's coming up next. Wait till you see. Oh, do you know? Throwing out random names. Oh, I know what you did. But didn't just fucking say it, dude. I mean, it's a show. It's a fucking show. No more riddles. Like, people like me because I just fucking show shit. I don't fucking tease you with bullshit. If I do tease you with shit, I might say, like the other day, I said, Jim McDermott, I know what you did. And what happens the next day? You get a blog about Jim McDermott explaining that he drove drunk and almost killed a woman in 2006. Boom. How fucking hard is that? That's it. Thank you. Okay. No, I don't do the same shit as Sean. I deliver every fucking time, Amber. Let's be very clear about that. Every single time I say something coming down the pike, it comes down the pike. I bring receipts. I never tell you I have something if I don't intend on showing you it. Every single time. Every time. And I always do it. You can't find any times I haven't. But anyway, so there's that. Next. Pamela. No, I already got that one. Okay, we got that. Okay. All right. Let me just read some cash apps and then we'll get started. Holy shit, it's 9:54. Jeffrey sends $10 and goes, where is your headphone tag? Go Lions. I know I still haven't taken it off, but I just decided to go headphone free today. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, the Lions are sick. Let's be real. We are headed for a Detroit, Kansas City Super Bowl, and it's going to be bomb, and the Lions are going to win. Go Lions. I mean, they're 3-point favorites on the road tomorrow. On the road tomorrow against a 6-2 team who has a rich tradition of winning Super Bowls, and you're the Lions, and you're still favored by 3 on the road against the Packers. That's wild, bro. When's the last time the Lions were favored by 3 at Lambeau? That's wild. So good for you. As a winner, as a Patriots fan, I wish nothing but the best for you, for Browns fans, for Bills fans, but the Jets can go fuck themselves. That's my thoughts on that. Okay. Callie Simpson sends $10. Thank you very much, Callie. I mean, the Jets are the only team that no matter how much they lose, they haven't lost enough. They just haven't. I want them to lose more, no matter how much the Jets lose. Okay. Whereas like the rest of the lovable losers, like the Browns, all the teams, the Bills, like I want them to win eventually. That would be nice, but the Jets can go fuck themselves. Thank you, Callie. Sharon sends $25 and goes, truth, daddy. Enough with the babies. Thank you, Sharon. Mama sends $20 and goes, Helen U. Esquire in LA, look her up. See, that's the thing I'm not looking for is I appreciate the dono, but what I'm not looking for in my inbox is like Google this person and look this person up. I don't want, just send me if you have somebody that you personally recommend, have them reach out to me. That'd be great. Scott sends $5 and goes, fuck Kamala, fuck Obama, fuck Biden, fuck all the libs. I wonder who Scott's voting for on Tuesday. That's a real mystery. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Peter sends $25 and goes, Danielle needs a daddy. Okay. Thank you. Jane sends $20 and goes, differs on politics, but the free care movement is all of us. Well, thank you very much, Jane. I appreciate that, dear. Andrea sends $10 and goes, I'm watching with my 17-year-old. Can you say hi to Chris? Hi, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Your mom makes great shirts. Thank you very much, Andrea. Christina sends $10 and goes, how long till I can delete and unfollow 34 Fairview Road? Let's just, like I said, my policy, download it. Thank you. Mama She sends $30 and goes, Doc Daddy, hiya. That's all. Thank you, Mama She. Dale sends $20, has no comment. Thank you, Dale. Lorena sends $5 and goes, happy birthday, Dad. Love, your favorite daughter. Isn't that sweet? Thank you very much, Lorena. You're a great daughter and a great mother as well. Thank you very much. And 𝗵𝗄𝗄 yesterday sent me $100 and said, for my girl Meredith, hugs and love. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure she appreciates that. Thank you very much. So, okay. If anybody else wants to have their messages read, you can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $, @UncleTurtleboy. But we need to get into this shit. Let's start fucking, man. Let's go. So I'm going to go in reverse here. I'm going to play the third episode first. Okay. And let's have my critiques of this. Let's do this shit.
Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps presents in Mom's Basement Media Production.
Fuck.
Denise Galvin, I never thought that I would feel the need to speak at a select board meeting. So after watching others speak passionately over the past several months on issues that directly affect my family, I decided it was time to take a voice and speak up. I am disheartened and disappointed in the members of the Canton community who continue to come before the select board to
This is actually episode 1, so I guess we'll start with episode 1. So this is how I knew there was a problem. The first thing they play is Denise Galvin at that select board meeting that I couldn't go to because I had stay away orders on me. I'd just been arrested. This woman who told the 2020 producers and Alan Jackson to go back to California and get the fuck out of Canton a couple days prior is at the select board meeting lecturing everybody else about how bad they are and how victimized the McAlberts are. This is how it starts off.
Vent frustrations and make accusations. Police and the select board are somehow negligent in their duties. These people, without justification or firsthand knowledge, accused Canton police of being incompetent and corrupt while raising questions at the select board about the police department's investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. Your accusations and anger against the select board and the police are based purely on speculation and rumors. The Canton police, the select board, and the silent majority residents are not responsible for the divide within the Canton community. The divide in Canton community is caused by Karen Reed's defense team, an online blogger, his followers, and a small fraction of outspoken Canton residents influenced by imaginary tales of conspiracy.
20 miles south of Boston, in Norfolk County, is Canton, Massachusetts, and residents of
by the public accusations people are self-serving while claiming to want justice for John and his family. I stand here today to tell you, as someone who wants nothing more than justice for John, the O'Keefe family is appalled and outraged by the public accusations, protests, and harassment of people closest to John and his family. The O'Keefe family supports the Canton Police Department and the select board. Some residents tearfully spoke about anonymous harassment and fearing for the safety of their families. Have you been blind to the constant, vicious, hateful, abusive posts, letters, memes, messages, calls, visits, name calling, and profanity that has been directed at my family and friends on social media, pages that you support? My nieces have been threatened and sexualized. If you support and fuel this grand conspiracy that includes attacks on police and the select board, then you condone the abuse and harassment of everyone involved.
So my nieces have been sexualized. You will see throughout this podcast that Matt Phelps frequently fact checks me. Like, fact check. This is not true. Fact check. There is no evidence to back that up. Yet she gets on there. He chooses. This is how he starts his podcast off with Denise Galvin, who is the older sister of Jennifer McCabe, crying about harassment and claiming that people are sending sexual pictures to children. Where's the fact check, Matt? Are you going to fact check that one? Did you do that, Matt? Did you talk to her? Oh, no, you didn't talk to her, did you? Because none of the McAlberts would speak to you. which should have been a red flag to most people with common sense, but not you. Not you. Nothing shady about that at all. The only people that would talk to him were pro Karen Read people.
Polarization doesn't come close to describing the heated and contentious clash between Canton residents on opposing sides, those in support of Karen Read and those backing the Commonwealth's case against her. A town divided, with a line of blood drawn by a police officer's body found in the front yard of a popular Canton resident across the street from the Canton Police Department's deputy chief, as rabid supporters of Karen Read stand on one side and those who want to see Read pay for what they believe she's done on the other.
You know, what's going on?
Because
it's in my neighborhood. Murder happened in my neighborhood, half a mile from my house.
Okay.
I drive by the house all the time. And so it's very personal. I talked to my neighbor and I said, you know, we were
taxpayers about should we audit the Canton Police Department? And he's like, what? No. And now with
books, you might know me from my #1 Apple podcast hit.
Now, Free Karen Read is running things now.
My name is 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗋𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗏 I'm an investigative journalist and the true crime author of close to 50 books. You might know me from my #1 Apple podcast hit, Paper Ghosts, and my weekly show, Crossing the Line with 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗋𝗆𝗆𝗏.
Okay.
I've spent the past 25 years in the true crime genre and have yet to come across a case like the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Read.
Yeah.
This is season 1 of Crossing the Line with 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗋𝗆𝗏 presents 34 Fairview Road.
All right.
The murder of John O'Keefe's darkest secrets hide behind.
So I'm going to skip over to the third episode because the third one's the worst, and we should start with that one first. All right, episode 3. Here we go.
This podcast is Crossing the Line with 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗋𝗆𝗏 presents and Mom's Basement Media production.
Okay.
Refer to it as a bag valve mask, 15 liters per minute on oxygen. The patient's not breathing on their own, so we're trying to assist ventilating that with high flow oxygen as well. And Easy IO, which is a needle we put into the bone of the tibia of the patient. On the right tibia was the first one we put in. We're going to be putting in warm fluid into the cardiac vasculature.
As paramedics, fire personnel, and Canton police begin arriving at 34 Fairview Road and go to work on John O'Keefe, Carrie Roberts, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen Read are running back and forth between John O'Keefe's lifeless body and Carrie Roberts' car, which they had all driven over in. Snow is coming down heavier than it had all night, and Karen is trying to piece together how her unresponsive boyfriend, John O'Keefe, wound up on the front lawn about 10 feet.
And again, this is I call him Podcast Plevin. Plevin is interviewed on this, and we talk about Plevin. You can see our texts.
From the road in the front yard of a fellow Boston cop, bleeding from the back of his head, his right arm gouged and scratched.
So she was within 2 feet of me, but very loud. The only response that I was personally given was just, I hit him. Oh my God, I hit him.
Yep.
Previously on 34 Fairview Road.
Okay.
Karen said,
So they need him to die.
Joe, crossing the line with 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗋𝗆𝗏. Crossing the line. What happens at 34 Fairview Road during the early morning hours of January 29th, after John O'Keefe's body is discovered, and later on into that morning and afternoon, will become the most debated and contentious aspects of this case. And yet none of those arguments, however heated and argumentative, change the facts as we know them. Nor that the series of events, beginning while Karen Read is still on the scene with Carrie Roberts and Jennifer McCabe, is either a frantic reaction to the unexplained death of a lover, a woman coming to grips realizing she'd killed her boyfriend accidentally in a drunken blackout, a planned murder carried out by a vindictive, cold-hearted woman, or the first act in a conspiracy to frame an innocent person for murder. Several incidents and statements occurring on scene that morning are vital to an understanding of this case.
Okay.
One of which Carrie Roberts notices while she is walking around, herself coming to grips with the idea that someone she loves dearly is likely dead.
He loves Carrie Roberts.
He was bleeding in the back of the head. So when I was wrapping I don't know why I was wrapping blankets around his head, but I didn't know. He had a cut on the back of his head.
That gash on the back of John's head, an obvious wound powerful enough to knock him unconscious, has to be the result of blunt force trauma. What caused that trauma will, of course, become the subject of confusion, speculation, and accusation as time moves forward. M's mouth to mouth, which smears John's blood causing John's death.
On the back of his head. Did I hit him? Did I hit him? Is he dead?
This is an important declaration regarding intent. Did I hit him? Did I hit him? It is framed as a question, not a statement of fact. Perhaps Karen had no clear memory of what happened and is trying to figure out herself if she'd played a role in John's death, or she is putting on an elaborate, very convincing act to cover up a premeditated plan to kill him.
So again, he's immediately first thing he takes, did I hit him? So he's going with what she really said was, did I hit him? Not I, but then that's contradicted by Katie McLaughlin. You gonna talk about that? and the 2 other paramedics. And how did they reach there? Because I've done substantial research into that, and it's pinned at the top of my page. How I hit him, never happened. And again, it's just this whole thing about like, yeah, we know blunt force trauma. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Okay. And he says, yeah, the EMTs hurted themselves. That's right.
Another interesting fact is that no one from the neighborhood comes out of their homes to help. Canton PD's future deputy police chief, who, if you recall, lives across the street, still hasn't made an appearance.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Which I find extremely unusual.
I'd say so.
EMTs and that lead paramedic you heard at the top of the episode take over as Karen is manic, running around and yelling out various things. Carrie walks over to her car at some point. Jennifer McCabe, who appears to be the calmest of the 3, is somewhere in the vicinity.
The calmest.
Carrie gets Karen to sit down in one of the Canton police cruisers, not only to warm up, it's about 18 degrees and snowing, but to try to settle down. Soon, Jennifer McCabe walks over and joins them inside the vehicle.
I said, they're working on him. They're working on him. And at one point, Karen grabbed the front of my jacket and screamed in my face and said, are they working on him? Is he alive? And I said, they're working on him. They're working on him. They wouldn't be working on him if he was dead. And then she had us hold hands.
I might add here that several others on scene, including a second paramedic and fire personnel, hear Karen blurt out a slightly different version, though even more incriminating a statement similar to what Carrie and Jennifer have already heard. I hit him. I hit him. Those first responders hear Karen say. We should take into account that these people do not know Karen, Carrie, or Jennifer McCabe.
Oh, okay. So he's saying that these people on the scene heard her say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And that none of them know Jennifer McCabe. Well, Mr. Phelps, because, this is what he keeps telling my manager that, well, I'm just seeking truth. I'm just following the facts. That's what he keeps saying. Well, let's talk about some facts, Matt Phelps, since you don't seem to know them very well. Feel free to read my pinned tweet at the top in my research into this, okay, about where this came from, where this lie. It began with this woman named Katie McLaughlin, who was dishonest because she lied about her close relationship with Caitlin Albert.
Something quite different.
Not quite different.
Than what you testified outside of what you stated to Proctor.
Respectfully, I think my testimony has been pretty consistent.
You testified to something yesterday quite different in context than what you told Trooper Proctor. Isn't that right?
I don't know that that's right.
Well, you told Trooper Proctor, here and read, look at a female standing to your left. He said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Right?
Yes.
Yesterday, you told these jurors that Karen Reed said, I hit him. And an officer said, you what? And she repeated, I hit him. And the officer immediately turned.
So she lied. Like she's got a different story. Okay. Every time, every cop, all 5 cops said that this never, ever happened. Listen to Saraf.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. You never heard her. At any point when you were at that location, did you hear my client repeating the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
She said, I hit him? No, I didn't hear that part.
There you go. Didn't hear that part. What about this guy?
As you're on scene and as you're going about what you're trying to do.
Actually,
in any of during the time that you were on scene and you heard,
I know you know this,
screaming and yelling in this distraught and hysterical manner.
And again, I know you know this, Candy King, because you're smart. But Matt Phelps is going to say that I'm personally attacking him. So I'm making it clear I'm not personally attacking him when I call him a liar. He's lying. When he's misrepresenting what he's putting out there. He's not doing a good job. And I'm showing you this. I'm proving him wrong because that's what I do.
You never once heard her say, I did it, correct?
I did not.
I did not. I never once heard her say that. What did this guy say?
Say she was distraught?
Yes.
Hysterical?
Yes.
Frantic?
Yes.
And you heard her say, he's dead, he's fucking dead, something like that, correct?
Correct.
And she didn't say it in the tone of voice that I just said it, correct?
Correct.
She was screaming when she said that, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And she repeated it more than once, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that at no point in time did you ever hear her say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, correct?
Correct.
Correct. There you go. He was there the whole time too, Phelps. What about this guy?
Beyond what she had indicated to you initially, what, if anything, was she asking you during the course of your conversation with her once you were in the end?
She kept asking if he was dead or could he be dead.
Oh, that's all. Dead. Okay.
She just said, is he alive, correct?
That's what I recall, correct.
In a loud voice?
Yes.
In a distraught voice?
Yes.
While she was crying.
And in reference to Mr. O'Keefe, during your conversation with Ms. Reed, what, if anything, was she asking or saying in reference to Mr. O'Keefe?
she kept repeating, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" She seemed very concerned about that.
Is
We're
he
trying to
dead?
explain to her that
Is he dead?
we cannot declare him dead.
Okay, what about this guy?
If somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours. And at that point, we were just trying to give her any hope that whomever.
Okay, so she didn't say it to him. If you're keeping track at home, is he dead? Is he dead? So Raph, Mulaney, Woodbury, Becker. He's dead. Kelly. Could he still be alive? Whitley. Is he alive? Walsh. The three people who claim, so 3 out of 10 made this claim. One of them is best friends with a woman who lives inside the house and was the first handpicked person to be interviewed by Michael Proctor on January 30th. And who set up that interview between Katie McLaughlin and Michael Proctor? That would be Kevin Albert. All my followers know this. Matt Phelps doesn't know this because he doesn't know the case. He pretends like he just got into this a few months ago. He doesn't know anything about it. He just started learning about shit. And he's got a long way to go, clearly. If you're going to do something like this, do it right. Do it the way Julie Miller did.
The ambulance prepares to leave with John's body, but Karen, Jennifer, and Carrie talk first. And this conversation becomes critical to what will take place later on that morning.
As we were leaving, she was saying to me, if anything happens to John, I'm going to kill myself. You need to take care of these kids. She spoke to her mother, and then I ended up taking the phone and speaking to her mother, and I gave her my phone number, and I said, I'm going to go to the hospital. She said, please make sure she does not have
yet come out of their house. Carrie decides to call John's parents and tell them she will stop and pick them up.
She said she dropped him off at a party, and Mrs. O'Keefe said, you just left him. And Mr. O'Keefe said, leave her alone. She's been through enough.
That is the first moment Karen Reed is accused, essentially, if only in an indirect way, of being at least partially responsible for what has happened. And the leading edge of a bitter wedge driving itself in between the relationship Karen has with John's family. Yet, is it not a fair question? Why would you leave John there?
Why is it not a fair question? Again, this is a guy who's claiming he's just following the facts. This is not following the facts. This is opining stupidly. Okay? The fact of the matter is that the ARCA experts who have PhDs in biomechanics say that it's physically impossible for John to have been hit by a car. The injuries to John could not have come from a car in the dents or the lack of dents on the vehicle. The damage to the vehicle could not have come from a pedestrian car strike. That's the fact. That's a scientific fact. If you want to follow the facts, follow those facts. Instead, he's focusing on, is it not fair for her? Why would she just drop him off there? Well, Matt, here's a fucking crazy idea. Why don't you just ask her, oh, wait, you don't have access to Karen Reed because you only have access to people that I hand delivered to you, didn't you? That's it. And I couldn't deliver Karen Reed to you, so you just put words in her mouth. But, oh, wait, a real reporter by the name of Julie Miller, you should read her article because Karen actually addresses this very question in her article. She told John was supposed to go inside and see what it was like. If it was a good scene, then he'd tell her to go home. All set. Maybe he invites her in. I don't know. Instead, he just didn't do shit. He went in the house. He never came out. She waited 10 minutes for him. You know who backs that up? Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Richie D. All of them back that up. Have said that she was sitting right there alone in her car. There was no one inside or outside the vehicle. So John had to be inside the house because he was not inside her car and he was not outside her car. Okay? These are the facts, my dude. That's why she sat there. And why did she leave? Because he wasn't answering his phone. So she figured he was getting drunk, having a good time. So she was outie. Okay? That's common fucking sense. So it's actually not a good question. It's actually a really stupid question. But go on.
As Carrie and Karen are driving out of the Fairview neighborhood, a police officer on scene calls Carrie and tells her she needs them to return. They need to speak with Karen. While that is going on, Jennifer McCabe is on her phone calling different people, one of whom is her sister, Nicole, who owns 34 Fairview Road with her husband, Boston cop Ryan Albert. Between 5:33 and later, 8:50 a.m., Jennifer will make 18 calls and then, for some reason, delete all of them from her phone.
Oh, how about that? How about that? So he says Jennifer will make 18 phone calls and then delete them from her phone. Oh, well, I got bad news for you, Matt. I got real bad news for you. Okay? I'm going to show you something you probably haven't seen before because I don't think you watched the trial. Oh, Key witness Jennifer McCabe denies deleting phone calls in Karen retrial. Okay? Her phone extraction report indicates she deleted a number of calls to John O'Keefe the morning he died. As McCabe took the stand for cross-examination, she and Jackson traded barbs. Pointing to McCabe's phone records, Jackson asked her about a series of calls she made to O'Keefe's phone between 12:29 and 12:50. Around the time he was mortally wounded. Every single one of those calls was deleted off your phone, correct? According to that report, yes. She previously stated she was drinking with family and friends at the Waterfall Bar and Grill when O'Keefe and Reed joined the group. As their time in bar came to an end, McCabe's sister and brother-in-law extended an open blah, 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 blah. Okay? Harassment, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Did McCabe here say I hit him? Denies deleting phone calls. McCabe further testified that while she called Nicole and Brian Albert multiple times that morning, they never picked up. She said she went inside the home and woke them up as first responders swarmed their front lawns. Do you agree with me? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, she denies it. How about this? Jackson later turned his attention to McCabe's phone records, comparing them with O'Keefe's. McCabe maintained that she handed her phone over to police willingly after you deleted your phone call logs, correct? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She deleted some personal conversations from her phone with her daughters, but not the John O'Keefe stuff. However, she didn't delete any phone calls. And can anybody find for me, if somebody wants to send this, I didn't have time to find it. Nic Guarino testified that when Richard Green looked at Jen McCabe's phone extraction and said that she deleted 18 phone calls, that was not true. Can somebody please find a timestamp part of that where Nic Guarino said that? It just send it to me in a Facebook Messenger and say, here's the link. Here's the timestamp. That's all I want. I don't, just whatever you do, don't send me a fucking 7-hour link and say it's in here. I will fucking kill you if you do that. I will literally fucking kill you. So send me a link with a timestamp of, if you can find that, of where Nic Guarino says that that there were no deleted calls, because she testified to that and he testified to that. Yet what does Matt Phelps say about Jennifer McCabe? What does he say? Okay. Again,
Brian Albert. Between 5:33 and later 8:50 a.m., Jennifer will make 18 calls and then, for some reason, delete all of them from her phone.
Delete all of them from her phone. So according to Matt Phelps, Jennifer McCabe deletes 18 phone calls from her phone. He's saying that she did that. According to her, she didn't do that. According to Nic Guarino, she didn't do that. So, Matt Phelps, are you telling me that Jen McCabe doesn't have any, I don't know, credibility? That's what you're saying to me. Because you're saying definitively that she deleted phone calls. She's saying she didn't, under oath, in a murder trial. So you are calling her a liar. But yet, in episode 2, you had the audacity, and the stupidness, the stupidity to say that she is credible. That's what he calls her. Credible. Bro, by your own fucking thing here, you're saying she's not credible, except you don't know. The problem with Matt Phelps is he doesn't know the trial. He doesn't know that Jennifer McCabe denied ever deleting those. He doesn't know that because he doesn't fucking know this fucking trial. He doesn't know shit about it. Anyway.
Phone. Throughout everything going on outside, about 75 feet from the front of their house, with a reported loud dog inside 34 Fairview, Brian and Nicole Albert remain asleep. The lights inside the house stay off the entire time, or, that is, until Jennifer McCabe wakes them up. Jennifer also does something else on her phone that morning, which, according to a later computer forensics search by Richard Green, she had allegedly done earlier at 2:27 a.m., if you recall, from the end of the previous episode. But this time, as you can hear Jennifer herself explain, that soon-to-be infamous Google search is entirely Karen's idea, which under the circumstances makes sense.
And then at that point, she grabbed my hands and she said, Google hypothermia, Google how long it takes to die in the cold.
First of all, it makes sense. There he goes with opining again. It doesn't make sense for her to Google that at 6:24. Why the fuck would Karen Reed ask Jennifer McCabe to Google how long does it take to die in the cold? Why would she ask Jennifer McCabe that when there's fucking firefighters and first responders everywhere that you could ask that to? And several of them testified that she did ask questions very similar to that. Why the fuck would she ask Jennifer McCabe to ask Jeeves?
And so I had my phone out and it was cold and my hands were frozen and I have MS and I took my phone out while she was screaming and shaking my arm and I attempted to Google how long does it take to die in the cold.
Those Google searches, the alleged one at 2:27 a.m., which was reportedly deleted, and this second search later that morning, which was not deleted, are what ultimately piques the interest of Aidan Turtleboy Kearney and gets him looking closer at this case and the possibility that something else is going on here.
So when this first story first happened in late January of 2022, I saw it in the news. It was, Boston police officers killed, and that's going to make the news. And the first thing that I thought, and most people thought, was, oh, wow, that's really unfortunate. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes, have to live with that sort of guilt. You kind of felt bad for her a little bit because you're like, if this was truly an accident, and oh my God, imagine living with that. How horrible for everybody involved. That's your initial reaction. And I forgot about it. And I never revisited the case. I didn't write about it because there was no angle to take. Like when I remember, when cops were killed, especially, that's the kind of stuff traditionally I've written about. But this wasn't an interesting story. It was just like a tragic accident. So I had no interest in writing about it. And I honestly forgot the name Karen Reed.
When Turtleboy heard about the alleged 2:27 Google search on Jennifer McCabe's phone, he considered something was very much wrong with the public's understanding of the case, that a drunk woman hit her boyfriend accidentally and killed him. Because why would a search for how long to die in cold be done at 2:27 a.m. on Jennifer McCabe's phone when Karen Reed is supposed to be at John's Meadows Avenue home, sound asleep? And then why is a second search done near 6:30 a.m.? One search deleted and the other not. Remember, as far as Jennifer McCabe knew and has testified, John O'Keefe never entered 34 Fairview Road on January 29th, even though she had been texting John and pointing out which house they were all partying at, asking him where he and Karen were.
So why would you Google that? If you thought John O'Keefe just didn't show up, he was at home in bed, it's a very incriminating Google search. And so she had also deleted it. And she had deleted dozens in 6:08 a.m. that were answered by—
I might agree with part of
calls. And that was minutes after they had arrived there and found John O'Keefe's body outside. She deleted that. And that's an interesting thing because Nicole Albert and Brian Albert, the homeowners, didn't come outside. They claim they slept through the whole thing.
I might agree with part of Turtleboy's statement, if, that is, both of those Google searches were actually done. And I will further dissect this thread later on in the podcast, because I am not so convinced that Jennifer McCabe actually conducted that search at 2:27 a.m.
I am not convinced that Jennifer McCabe conducted that search at 2:27 a.m. Well, sir, because you are fucking lazy, Matt. That's the fact of the matter. If you were good and you actually want to get to the bottom of this, you would do what a real reporter like Julie Miller at Vanity Fair did and track down, I don't know, someone with the PhD in cell phone forensics at the University of Purdue, or Purdue University. I think it's Purdue University, not UP. PU, not UP. And ask him, because that's what Julie Miller did. And he looked into it and he determined that didn't happen. And a Quantico trained forensic expert hired by the FBI came to the same conclusion that Richard Green did. Okay. So maybe you should just, do some actual research yourself instead of adding background music to fucking already existing testimony. That's it. Because I asked Jennifer McCabe a whole bunch of times why she Googled that. She wouldn't talk to me. Maybe you should try talking to her. Oh, wait, she wouldn't talk to you either. Maybe that should tell you something, my dude. Maybe that should tell you something. Right? And let me see if I have here. Let's see. Let me show you some of our messages here. I want to show you some messages here. Let me take a break from this. So this is like all the shit I was dealing with the whole time. Constantly asking me to do all the work. Do you have a list of the Proctor texts? Yeah, I'm in a car. That was the weekend I was going to Notre Dame. But I guess I could go through all of Michael Proctor's testimony and give you a list and transcribe all his texts for you. Or you could just do it. Like, you could just do it. But you want me to fucking do it for some reason. You want a list of all of Michael Proctor. Lazy. Fucking go find them yourself, dude. They're fucking on YouTube. Like, you can just Google it and you get all his fucking texts. It's not that fucking hard, you know? So there's that. How about this one? What's this one say? Can you get me 𝗥𝗍𝗄𝗆's interview with the feds? He asks me. I have some posted excerpts online and was wondering if you had a copy of the entire thing. If you knew anything about it, how the fuck could I get 𝗥𝗍𝗄𝗆's interview with the feds? Are you fucking kidding me? You want me to just give you everything? Like, I don't have fucking... It's the federal government. I have my interview with 𝗥𝗍𝗄𝗆. I've published that whole fucking thing. Everything he told me. Proctor did an interview with him. Go read that. Can you just give me everything? Like, what? No. And this is when it started to fall apart, because he was really into this. And as you're going to see in these messages during the trial, he was so into the McAlberts are guilty. And then all of a sudden that changed after I'm not handing him everything and doing all his work for him. Like, look at this one he wants from me. This is what he asked me for. Okay. He wants police reports, affidavits from the night of the morning after, any FBI reports from the federal investigation, photos of me, the Free Karen Read movement, pictures of Karens I took, videos from when you recorded Lindsay snapping, any audio you think would work for a podcast, especially if you have an exclusive audio of Karen, any audio of you being threatened. So basically everything. And by the way, all of this is on my YouTube channel. You can just go on my fucking YouTube channel and find all of this. You can go to the fucking Justice for John and Karen Facebook page. I don't have fucking time to do all of your work for you. Just go fucking do it. It is Andy No all over again. If anybody remembers the Andy No saga from a couple of years ago, it is exactly like the Andy No saga. Very similar. Asking this. I need pictures of you, Karen, an exclusive photo that no one has seen, some of Free Karen Read people picketing at the courthouse, or you leading them on a chant with a bullhorn. These would be pictures you took, so we would retain the rights to the cover image. So I'm doing all the work. Okay. And then these are messages he sends during the trial on 6/25. Okay. During closing arguments about Brian Albert. Oh my God, he looks like he wants to jump over the railing and attack. This is classic. This closing is brilliant. Does this sound like somebody who thinks Karen Read is guilty? Does it? No. He's just like every other fucking fraud out there who thinks Karen Read is innocent until he gets mad at me. That's all this fucking is. He's mad I didn't do all his fucking work for him. That I didn't stop what I was fucking doing and send him an itemized list of fucking Michael Proctor's text messages. And now he's like, okay, maybe Karen Read is guilty then. Suddenly his position changes because he's, and what is it? What did they say they did? No, they're not mad at me. They're just following the facts. That's what they always, no, we're just following the facts. It just happened. I'm following the facts. It happens to be the exact same time I got mad at you, but I swear that's a fucking coincidence. This is about 𝗵𝗂𝗃 searches. My guess is she typed it in at 2:27 and didn't hit enter before deleting. The documentation clearly shows that. It shows that. Okay. So I guess she did do it. Aidan, Proctor testifies he didn't know Albert. That's an emphatic lie, right? Yeah, it is a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie. Absolutely. Yes, he gets it. If she didn't search it at 2:27, then why are the two searches spelled different? How long to die in cold and how long tied die in cold? I'm not following the Commonwealth's logic with this witness today. And I explained to him. Because she Googled it at 2:27. She realized that's a mistake. She deletes it. She's like, I have to delete this. I have to search this later on so it doesn't look suspicious. So it makes sense that I Googled it later on. Except she's in a fucking rush and she spells it the wrong way at 6:23, which is why 10 seconds later, she did it again. Hoss-long to die in cold. That's why. Not brain surgery. Boom. Got him. This. Oh my God. I can't believe he put this. Okay. He sends me a screenshot of somebody named Manda on Twitter and saying, Officer John O'Keefe's blood is inside the door jamb. It's in that 3,074 page report. I don't think it's in there. Okay, let me just put that. I don't think that's actually in there. And then he sends to me, does anyone have a copy of this report? Yeah, Matt, I have a fucking copy of the confidential federal documents into their investigation that no one can get. I have a fucking copy, and I'm going to give them to you for some reason instead of, sharing them on my fucking platform. Like, again, unbelievable. Then this is how I knew things were going downhill. When I see this shit, can you send me the entire convo with Steve Scanlon? And he's quoting a Julie Carpenter quote. Julie Carpenter is a crazy person from Indiana, a bootleg Peg Bundy, just one of the trashiest broads you've ever seen in your life. And just a literal crazy person. Yesterday, she tweeted out that it is against the law to criticize the state police. Was that her exact quote? It was insane. Bettero highlighted it. Let me see if I can pull up Bettero's tweet here on this. You're like, okay, this is the dumbest. Like, she's like a cartoon character when you read it. And yeah, this is it. You just accused the state police of lying. That's a crime. It's a crime to accuse the state police of lying. So says the bootleg Peggy Bundy. Oh, imagine thinking that. Imagine a grown-up who can drive a car and vote. This person can fucking vote on Tuesday. That's wild. What kind of country allows fucking people like this to vote? She says, you just accused the state police of lying. That's a crime. Oh my, you just implicated 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗃. That's a crime. Okay. And so this, as soon as I see this from Phelps, he sends me this email. Like, I'm like, bro, you are reading Julie Carpenter tweets. She's a cartoon character, my dude. She's not like a serious person. So then we have here, let me go to, what am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for Phelps. Okay. Matt Phelps. William Phelps. Okay. So I go to people who follow, I go to his follower list, right? Oh no, I want to see who's following him. Give me 1 second and see who he's following. That's what I want to see. So he's following, let's see this list of people here. 𝗀𝗄𝗄𝗏𝗄𝗏. Okay, but she's got like 90,000 followers. That's whatever. Let's see. Crime and Culture with Sin. She's like some McAlbert stan on Twitter. Like, I'm going Missy Lurch, of course. Valerie McGilvery. If you're on Twitter, you know these names because they are like the craziest people in the world. Shannon Burgess, the new man Shannon. Jessica Hyde, of course. Shazlik, Hillbilly Nitro USA, Cubic Z Painter, Leah Genduso, for some reason, Charlene McAlbert, that insane redhead in Indianapolis who accosted a child on Labor Day, Carrie Lama, Lavish Loves, let's see, Tuesday Gazette, Innocence Fraud Watch, which routinely calls me a rapist and just libels me, and there may be consequences for that. We'll see. Gretchen Voss, True Crime and Wine, Andy Dufresne's. Interesting. Let's see. I mean, you go down the list here. I found, of course, Krusty Panties. He follows Julie Carpenter, of course. Follows this crazy Kara, who I haven't even gotten into, and I don't know if I ever will. She's the craziest of fucking all of them. Follows them all. Like, why is he following Leah Genduso? Like, what? Like, what? These are the people he's following. And I'm like, bro, this is going down. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, this is not. Of course he follows Wolfgang. Of course he does. What else do we have here? There's a couple more. How about this? He asked me this. Here's another person he asked me to get in touch with. Can you put me in touch with Jen Altman and Natalie? I go, Natalie, I can't. I meant to say I can't. I can't give you her number, but she's a witness against me. Because I'm not doing any of this third-party contact bullshit. They're going to say like, oh, you're telling people to harass her. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. So I do not give him Natalie's number. Okay. And so I do give him Jen's. Jen's interviewed for the podcast. And just another example of, me doing the work. This is what he said about Plevin. When I heard that Plevin was on the podcast, he goes, he's like the only person from the other side that will talk to me, and I need someone. So he had to settle for Plevin. And now he's become Podcast Plevin. Hasn't he? He's Podcast Plevin. How about this? This is more shit he's asking me for. Is there like a two-way on YouTube? Is there a way? Because he's asking me for all these YouTube links. Okay. And like all these videos of everything. It's going to take me so long. Like you want me to rewrite everything I've ever done? Put all those links in one email and send them to me, because he can't go on my fucking YouTube page and do it himself. Okay. He can't do it himself for some fucking reason. All right. Could you be more specific? Okay. It's like you're asking me for all this shit. Like, bro, all this shit. Like, you guys get the point here. Is there any other good ones here I could show you? What else do we have? He asked me this. Like, you'll see that Ted Daniels is in the podcast. He didn't get Ted Daniels. I did. I know Ted. I could talk to Ted. He's a colleague of mine. I got Ted, and Ted is on the podcast. And he only takes things like you'll see the little snippets he takes from Ted are designed to make me look unserious. Let's just put it that way. Because Ted has said some very good things about me on Law and Crimes podcast about this called Karen. So I think they're just called Karen. And Ted says great things about me. But Matt makes sure to clip things that don't sound as great. And here I am giving them all their numbers. Richie, Rita, Sean McDonough. Okay. So you got all them. Who else did he want? How about this? Okay. And all right. So we'll get to this when I play part 2. And then this is the kind of shit I'm always like, this is the shit I'm dealing with professionally. Like, I tweet out the Fairview Road podcast, and then I get back from him, edit that for me. It's episode 1 of 10 episodes dropping tonight. So I write part 1 of the podcast is coming tonight. And he's like, no, edit that for me. It's episode 1 of 10 episodes. Bro, calm the fuck down. I'll tweet when I want to fucking tweet with your hashtags. Okay. Calm the episodes. It's not that fucking serious, dude. Relax. Okay. Jesus Christ. And again, I'll show you my contract too, right? Like, this is what, and this is why I need to talk to a lawyer. Okay, so this is what it says here. It says, where'd it go? Turtleboy hereby warrants and represents the work is wholly original with Turtleboy or in the public domain throughout the universe, does not violate any copyright of any person or entity to the best of Turtleboy's knowledge in the exercise of reasonable prudence and due inquiry, and does not defame, infringe upon, or violate the right of privacy or any other right of any person or entity. Okay, that's not me. And is not the subject of any litigation claim that might give rise to litigation. Turtleboy further warrants and represents that Turtleboy has not granted or transferred any rights in or to the work to any third party, and have not and will not do anything which has impaired. This is what they're gonna like. This is the shit right here. Okay. Hold on. How can I get rid of that? Make this nice and skinny. Hold on. Okay. So it says here that Turtleboy will not do anything which has impaired or will impair the rights granted to the producer of the work. So I talked to my manager yesterday about this, and he brought this up, and he's like, well, that's the line right there that says you can't badmouth them, because he could argue that you're impairing the project. You will not do anything which has impaired or will, and this is why I need a lawyer, because my manager is not looking out for my best interest, because he represents him as well, and he hooked me up with him. So it's like, you're not looking out for my interests if you're saying what I can't say shit about him. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying, Rich. It's like, and that's why I need a second set of eyes. I don't trust the manager. I don't trust him. He represents Phelps, so I can't trust him. So I need a lawyer to look at this and tell me what exactly this means, because I don't want them pulling some bullshit on me and saying, well, you don't get your 40% now because of this shit. And then there's this paragraph. Okay. He is a lawyer. So that's the thing. He's signed as my manager, but when he first messaged me, he's messaging me about how I'm a big fan of your work on Karen Reed. You're doing an amazing job on this. I'm an entertainment attorney. He didn't introduce himself as a manager. He introduced himself as an attorney. Okay. So look at this too. And again, I would argue that exactly he impaired the like this is failing because of him, because the podcast sucks. You put out shitty content and no one wants to listen to it. And then this is the second part. This is like the other part that was brought up about like what I can and cannot say. Hold on, wrong size. Turtleboy will agree to work with producer to form a media strategy that best works to serve and to promote the podcasts to get a larger audience, while not giving away any exclusive information that could devalue or outdate the podcast. So I'm doing that. This is what I'm doing. And that's the problem. It's like the loyalties appear to be to Phelps here. Okay. So, and we're going to work together to make the podcast as successful and entertaining as possible for a large global audience. Guess what? I'm the only one doing that. He's not doing that. He's doing what is not helpful for growing the podcast, because he's taken a position that nobody wants to fucking hear. It's the exact opposite. I should be suing him, because I'm like, we're partners in this. I'm making 40%, and we're making shit on it because this guy wants to be fucking podcast Plevin. Seems like he insisted it's not a conflict of interest. Okay. And this is, as we're going to see, this was he had the audacity to write this on his fucking podcast as part of the written part of it. A fair question to ask might be this: did Karen's parents trigger the sectioning so that Karen did not have to answer any questions by the police? No, it's not a fair question. And no one's even asking that question. Not even the trolls were asking that question. That's not following the facts. That's just making up fucking insane conspiracy theories in your head to try to sound like you're the smartest guy in the room. So anyway, let's get back to the podcast.
Nicole and Brian Albert later testified that they were asleep during this entire time and did not answer those phone calls Aidan mentions.
Yet the forensics on Jennifer McCabe's phone show that she called them and that they answered. They were alerted about the dead body on the front line.
I think we should add here that we do not know who answered, only that the calls, according to computer forensics, were answered. It's assumed Nicole and or Brian Albert answered because the calls were made to their phones, but we do not know that for certain.
Imagine a first responder.
So he again says that those calls were answered. He said that, right? So the 607 and 608 calls from Jennifer McCabe to Nicole Albert that say answered on the Celebrate were in fact answered. He said that, right?
Only that and did not answer those phone calls because I am not so convinced that Jennifer McCabe actually conducted that search at 2:27 a.m. Nicole and Brian Albert later testified that they were asleep during this entire time and did not answer those phone calls Aidan mentions.
Yet the forensics on Jennifer McCabe's phone showed that she called them and that they answered. They were alerted about the dead body on the front lawn.
I think we should add here that we do not know who answered, only that the calls, according to computer forensics, were answered.
So he fully admits right there, they're answered, right? Fully admits it. Just like he fully admits Jennifer McCabe deleted those phone calls. He fully admits Nicole Albert answered those 2 phone calls at 6:08 and 6:09 that they were answered. He just says we don't know who could have done it. Who the fuck did it then? And I brought this to my manager. I'm like, bro, he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe somebody else did it. It's like, what? Stop making excuses for fucking Phelps. This is fucking retarded shit. What do you mean nobody what are you talking about? Who did Chloe answer it? Actually, this exact same thing. Let's listen to Nicole Albert's testimony that I have queued up here. And let's listen to Brian Albert's testimony to see what, I don't know, maybe they have something to say about the matter. Let's bring that up. Grizzled old Nicole Albert. Let's listen to what she has to say.
You were also lying next to a first responder.
Objection.
You can answer that.
Yes.
And neither you nor your husband came outside to help John. Correct?
We did not go outside because we had no idea what was going on outside. We were sound asleep until my sister came into my bedroom.
Okay. 𝗲𝗟𝗍.
Thank you, Your Honor. With regard to phone calls from your sister Jennifer McCabe that morning, shortly after 6 a.m., did those phone calls wake you up?
No.
Did you answer those phone calls?
No.
Did you speak to
Did you answer those phone calls? Nope. But who answered them then? Who could have answered them, Phelps?
Jennifer McCabe on the phone prior to her, or at any point on that morning prior to her coming into your room?
I did not.
And you were shown something that's a 𝗲𝗿𝗃 extraction report, correct?
Yes.
And not just that specific one, but have you ever seen any 𝗲𝗿𝗃 extraction report before in your life?
No.
Fair to say you don't know how to interpret the data that's on there?
No.
Fair to say that you don't know whether or not an answered call is something that's listed as answered, or something that was actually answered or went forth.
Correct.
So there you go. Lally himself is saying that those answered calls went to voicemail. That's the Commonwealth's official position. That she didn't actually answer, they went to voicemail. That's what he says. And then we got Brian Albert's testimony too, because he talks about this same fucking thing too, doesn't he? Let's bring up Big Brian's testimony and see what he has to say about it.
Who else was in the room?
Just myself and my wife.
And Chloe.
Yes, but Chloe's not a human, so it was myself and my wife.
By process of elimination, Nicole didn't answer that call, did she?
No.
Chloe, the non-human, didn't answer that call, did she?
No.
So who had to have answered the call, sir?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
I don't remember answering that call. Could have hit the phone by accident, causing it to answer.
Okay,
let's move on from this.
He admits there's only 3 heartbeats in that room next to Nicole Albert's phone and to his phone because he answered his phone too. There's only 3 people or 3 heartbeats. Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, and Chloe. Well, it can't be Chloe, right? I mean, what was his reason? Why can't it be Chloe?
Didn't answer that call, did she? Who was in the room?
Just myself and my wife.
And Chloe.
Yes, but Chloe's not a human, so it was myself and my wife.
By process of
Okay, so it wasn't Chloe. So we figured that out, Phelpsy. So Phelps says that we don't know who answered that phone call. We don't know. Am I getting static again? Okay. We don't know who's doing that. But we kind of do. So there's that. I mean, did he listen to anything in the trial? Did he? I mean, that's my question. Did he listen to anything in the trial? Because everything he's saying in this podcast is like, I agree with him with that part. That, yeah, the phone calls were answered. We get that. But what? All right, back to the show. Back to the
It's assumed Nicole and or Brian Albert answered because the calls were made to their phones, but we do not know that for certain.
You know, imagine a first responder. Brian Albert's 29-year veteran of the Boston Police Department. Doesn't come outside when there's a dead body on his front lawn. He has a German Shepherd that lives in the house that would have been barking its face off if his lawn was covered with first responders. Doesn't wake him up somehow. It just so happens that the body found on the front lawn, John O'Keefe's, looks like he went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, and his right arm appears to be covered in bite marks, right? Like it looks like dog bite marks.
This information, a lot of which is speculation based, would set Turtleboy on a quest, scurrying down into a bottomless rabbit hole, looking to find out anything he could, not only about the case, but perhaps a more sinister, elaborate plan to frame Karen Read for John's death. After learning about those alleged Google searches, Turtleboy believes Jennifer McCabe knew what happened to John O'Keefe, that as the morning unfolds, she begins to cover for those responsible, playing that quarterback role. And that she viewed Karen Read, again, in Turtleboy's opinion, as the perfect scapegoat to take the rap. And this plan, however implausible and, I would add, unbelievable and conspiracy-based it sounds, is set in motion on that morning, designed and put into play by members of the Albert and McCabe families, with the second string, a group of Canton cops and Massachusetts State Police now on their way over to Fairview to seal the deal.
We never alleged that the Canton cops are in on any sort of cover-up. The Canton cops are just like the Keystone Cop morons in this whole thing that didn't. And honestly, the Canton cops weren't in on the conspiracy. They helped prove there was a conspiracy because none of them found any taillight and none of them heard Karen Read say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Like the Canton cops are not even like they had nothing to do. Kevin Albert did, but Michael Lank is just more given, like treating them not like normal people would be treated if a dead cop was on their lawn. That doesn't mean he's in on any conspiracy. That just means that he's like, you know, he's treating them differently. That doesn't mean if Michael Lank knew that those people inside that house murdered a Boston police officer and let him die on the front lawn, if he knew that, I believe that Michael Lank, knowing that like would arrest him. I believe that. I don't think Michael Lank is going to intentionally cover up a murder. I don't. Because I don't, that's far-fetched. That's what Sean Good isn't going to cover up a murder. Stephen Mulaney and Seraph are not going to intentionally cover up a murder. Why the fuck would they do that? I think that they just looked for taillight. They didn't find any. Like the Canton police are not in on it. The Canton police are just kind of like, the jury thinks they're incompetent because they didn't see any taillight and there's 45 pieces allegedly there. Yeah. Lank just looked the other way. Exactly. Lank doesn't want to know. That's a good way of putting it. He looked the other way. Like he didn't like okay. You think Lank wanted to be in a position? You think Lank wanted to be in a position where he accuses Brian Albert of murder? No, of course he doesn't want to fucking do that. Doesn't mean he's conspiring to cover it up. It just means he just didn't want to fucking do it. He's a bad cop. Like he's just a shitty, stupid cop. That's all he is.
Everyone I spoke to for this podcast with knowledge of Karen Read told me she is one of the most intelligent people they know. Not the same person we see in such a frantic state on the morning of January 29th, 2022, as her boyfriend of 2 years, John O'Keefe, is on his way to the hospital with less than a 10% chance of survival. Anyone with a mind for crime knows that when a person is found dead under suspicious circumstances, if they have a spouse or partner, investigators look at that person first. And a major focus of that investigation includes the type of relationship they had.
Karen made good money. She graduated from Bentley in 3 years. She has an MBA, and she had a good position of fidelity. People trust her with their money. So it's like you got to be pretty smart, and I'm sure she made a lot of problems in the adoption.
After Karen left 34 Fairview Road near 12:30 on January 29th, she started calling John, leaving multiple intensely vulgar and profanity-laced voicemails, which you heard in the previous episode. Between the time she dropped him off at Fairview and started calling Jennifer McCabe to ask for help looking for him near 5 a.m., there is evidence that she was awake and had even left the house, which I'll unpack in a future episode. All those calls she made and voicemails Karen left would indicate she was awake for at least a portion of the night. And those angry voicemails prove there were cracks in the relationship, certainly, because she was in a rage. You can hear it. And she grew angrier as each call was made. Here's Turtleboy's theory as to where that anger is rooted.
She was pissed because he was
Karen. What she meant by that.
Because she thought he was hooking up with someone else. She thought, like John was, chicks wanted John. That's when his wife and kids were missing for 2 days. TV, he's like, I just love him so much. And
I'm going to kind of skip over my part because you already know what my opinions are on this. And if you listen to that's the one good part about listening to the podcast. You get to listen to me. And I tell the truth on there. I keep it real for the most part, like when he's not taking me out of context.
Hope they return home.
Like his niece for breakfast. Hardly a motive for murder. However, John's niece and nephew, the best sources for a ringside seat to the relationship, later tell police that Karen and John argued all the time, with John expressing just recently that he needed a break from the relationship and had asked Karen to leave the house.
But what he doesn't point out is that the kids weren't spoken to until almost a month after he was killed. after they had been fully brainwashed by the McAlberts, and after Karen Reed had already been arrested and perp walked into court. That's it.
She refused. And just a week before John's death, John had told Karen their relationship was unhealthy and had run its course. He was ending it. Turtleboy claims those voicemails depict a lot more than just the content.
That sounds like a woman who truly believes that he's out partying. Like, that's pissed about it. You know, like, that's like it was authentic. If that's fake, like that sort of anger about being out, I mean, she's a tremendous actress.
You know, it's, you know, if we're going to speculate a minute, we speculate that she drops him off and she thinks he's at a party over there and he hooks up with somebody while he's at the party at the Albert's house, right?
Or yeah, or some chick texted him and he went there. Who knows where he went? All she knows is he's not home.
Turtleboy's point, does the woman leaving those voicemails sound like a scorned lover who had just struck her boyfriend down with her SUV? Would she call him that many times and leave all those voicemails if she had just killed him?
No.
I don't suspect she would, but we just don't know.
Oh.
Keep in mind, she also calls her parents shortly after leaving Fairview, somewhere near 1 a.m. And then
if you start pushing this shit about she called her parents at 1 a.m. and that's suspicious, you are, I know where you're going with this. Like, oh, it's suspicious she called her parents. Why? Why? She explains it to a real reporter named Julie Miller why she did that. She explains it on Dateline, I believe. Did she explain it? I don't remember. But yeah, I think she did explain it on Dateline. And that's why they want William Reed's phone. They want to see if she called him often, and they're going to see that she did.
And she texts her father thereafter. We could play devil's advocate and equally assume she was setting up an alibi for herself after realizing what she'd just done. And that the call to her parents was to ask them for advice, knowing she just struck John with her vehicle. As Aidan begins to hyper-focus on Jennifer McCabe, her movements, all the calls she makes and deletes, the texts she sends and deletes, which phone records prove, Turtleboy becomes convinced that everything Jennifer does from the moment John and Karen arrive at Fairview until years later when the case goes to trial is to protect the secret of what truly happened to John O'Keefe at Fairview Road that night, how he was killed, and who is responsible.
Karen, from the backseat, immediately sees John's body in the snow. There's
Fairview Road house that night after 12:30 a.m. or anyone driving by.
And, you know, it's a wide open lawn. Anybody driving by would have seen his body lying there.
This is a common assumption that anyone coming or going from the Fairview Road house that night after 12:30 a.m. or anyone driving by would have seen John on the front lawn. But it's a stretch, I think. It's dark, for one thing. And let's say it's 12:31 a.m. and John is there on the lawn at that time. There was only a dusting of snow by then, if that, so he would have easily blended into the white of the snow or the darkness of the green lawn. And then let's say it's later, after snow has been falling steadily.
So he would have, again, he would have blended it. What? So again, he somehow doesn't find it suspicious that not a single person sees that body on the lawn as they leave. Has he ever been to 34 Fairview Road? Or maybe, Matt, if you just looked at my YouTube channel, you would see that Richie and I, who you also interviewed, recreated this. Richie is the same height as John O'Keefe, okay? He laid down on that front lawn. I drove past it to see, could you see a body? Is it possible to miss a body there? No, it's not. It's not. Anyone who's ever been, tell me you've never been to 34 Fairview Road without telling me you've never been to 34 Fairview Road. But listen to this part that makes no sense.
That time. There was only a dusting of snow by then, if that, so he would have easily blended into the white of the snow or the darkness of the green lawn. And then,
so he would have blended into the whiteness of the snow or the darkness of the green lawn. So which is it? They're polar opposites. How can you blend in with both? He's just like, oh, I totally could have. So maybe he was really dark and he would have blended in with the darkness, but also white. There's also white there. He would have blended in with that too. What? Are you like, what? What? Again, he's just following the facts though. This is what he keeps telling me. This is not following facts. This is retarded opining. That's what this is.
And let's say it's later, after snow has been falling steadily. John would have been covered by then and blended into the snow even more. And then there's the fact that nobody coming or going from that house that night is looking for a man on the front lawn. It's just not how our minds work in such a situation.
Oh, you weren't looking for if you're not looking for a dead body on the front lawn, then you wouldn't notice it. Don't you guys notice? That's so funny. So if there's a dead guy, if I'm just driving along the road and there's just like a 220-pound dead man on a front lawn, I'm probably not going to notice it unless I'm specifically looking for a dead man. Oh, yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, that makes total, like where, but again, he's just following the facts. Following the facts. Podcast Plevin, following the facts.
So we cannot just assume anyone would have seen him. that will not get us to the truth. Karen, however, as soon as she, Carrie, and Jennifer came around the corner in Carrie's vehicle on that morning, does see John immediately. And many believe
she must be
it's because she knew he was there.
So she sees him lying there and jumps out of the car and tries to save his life, perform CPR, etc. Carrie Roberts assists her. And Jennifer McCabe calls 911. And at no point does she ever tell the dispatcher, like, she's very calm in there. You can hear Karen Reed in the background screaming, John, can we now? And she's freaking out. Not John McCabe, though. She's cool, calm, and collected. She describes his body as a man lying in the snow, not a Boston police officer, not my friend John, who I invited over here, a man in the snow. Because you know they're going to react differently if it's a cop. You know it's going to be like, get down there right now. So she says, just a man lying in the snow. Could be a vagrant, who knows? And something, meow, never alerts police to this, never tells, put in Jen McCabe's call record. She calls 911 at 6:03. Yeah, what's going on? Like, but there is enough time to say something.
He is assuming a lot here.
Karen's here. Do not come out of the house. Stay inside. There's enough time to say something like that. Communicate a short message.
I understand and perhaps even sympathize with Turtleboy's argument, but I think he is assuming a lot here, in that he terribly misreads the 911 call or chooses not to see the sincerity in it. Not to mention the fact that both Carrie and Jennifer call 911, but Karen Reed, who was going out of her mind with worry about John, does not call 911.
Oh my God, he actually said that. Karen Reed is the shady one because she didn't call 911. Yeah, Matt, because she's doing CPR. Because she's trying to save his life, my dude. Because she's bleeding. He's bleeding. There's blood everywhere from the mouth. And she's trying to give him mouth to mouth. But she didn't call 911. And this retarded motherfucker thinks that is suspicious. Oh my fucking God. But he doesn't believe this. Because you saw his emails to me. You saw the thing that he said about Brian Albert on June 25th. You know he thinks Karen's innocent, but then you saw in September, I'm not getting him enough doing all his work for him, so he got mad at me. And that's the evolution of how Karen Reed became guilty in the eyes of podcast Plevin.
While we're on that 911 call again, how about this fact? Listen once again to this section of the 911 call Jennifer McCabe makes.
What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
That's his girlfriend. His name is Dawn Keith.
So they had flipped him over when they arrived and found him, which means John was actually face down, giving yet more credence to the theory that he was struck by a vehicle.
What? If you're face down, that gives more credence that you're struck by a vehicle? So people don't get hit by cars and land on their back? Is that what he's just saying? That you automatically land on your belly if you get... He did not say that. Tell me he didn't say that. Yes, he did. He said that. And wait till he hears Trooper Paul's testimony about how he ended up there. That's even better. That's even more fantastic. Oh my God.
What's more, I found Jennifer McCabe to be pretty shaken up and genuine during that 911 call. At several points in the call, she's even close to breaking down in tears. I've learned from analyzing hundreds of 911 calls that everyone has a different way of expressing shock and alarm during these situations. Turtleboy will disagree with me, but we just cannot take that leap from the way Jennifer sounds to her being involved in a cover-up. And what she...
Okay, so, first of all, enough with the I've done 200 cases and I'm so much smarter than you and I've written 50 leather-bound books and I've done this and that. Bro, nobody's fucking heard of you. Look at the poll right now, Matt. 3,300 people have voted in our poll. 93% of them had no fucking clue who you were prior to you coming on with me. That's it. Now people know who you are, but it's not for good reasons. But now they know who you are. Okay. And like everybody and anybody who listened to that, she did not sound panicked at all. Watch the dash cam video, brother. What does she do the whole time? She talks to cops. She's not the least. She turns her back on John's body as it's being wheeled into the freaking ambulance.
She says or doesn't say on that 911 call as further proof of it.
And again, the tone of Jen McCabe on the 911 call is not the most incriminating thing she did. Like, whatever. I would say the thing she Googled at 227 and all the shit she deleted is much more incriminating. Much more. Or how she asked fucking Julie Nagel for a screenshot of her brother's messages or some shit, like of her messages with her brother. Like, it's like, oh my God.
What Karen Reed, Carrie Roberts, and Jennifer McCabe found at 34 Fairview when they arrived on the morning of January 29th spread quickly among everyone within this large group of friends and family.
My mother called me at 6:40 a.m. She called and just said something happened to your brother. They found him in the snow and they took him to the hospital.
Paul O'Keefe doesn't have much information at this point. When he speaks to his mother, he says he's on his way to Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, Massachusetts.
I really didn't know much until I got to the hospital. While I was at the hospital, my cousin works 911 dispatch, so she came down because she had heard. And the only thing I was able to get was that, he was cold and they needed to warm him up. But didn't have much information other than that.
Gary Roberts, who had left Karen back at the scene after returning and then took back off alone, picks up John and Paul's parents and drives to the hospital.
Parents arrived. They brought us, in the double doors into like a little family sitting room. So we were in that waiting room. Doctor and nurse came in and told us that all their efforts to save my brother were unsuccessful. And then asked if we wanted to go see him, in which we said yes. So we left that room and walked down the hallway to his hospital room.
Peggy O'Keefe has now outlived 2 of her children. This is such a devastating and tragic day for the O'Keefes, which will only intensify in the months and years to come. As Paul and his parents prepare to view John's body, a commotion in the lobby catches their attention.
So I noticed Karen Reed was there. She was being restrained by hospital employees, and she was, screaming out to us, asking if he was alive.
Paul and his parents enter the room.
He was pretty banged up. His eyes had swelled up. He had a breathing tube in, well, mask anyway. Blood come down his nose, blood come down his mouth. But what really stood out to me was, the eyes. It was almost as if like there were ping pong balls under his eyelids. They were that swollen.
All right.
I noticed some markings on his arm.
All right. So listen, the next 15 minutes of this podcast is Paul O'Keefe, which is the most uninteresting person you could possibly, talk to. Or first, he doesn't even talk to him. He just plays his testimony. Paul's was the first witness in the whole trial. He said nothing interesting at all. I don't even think they cross-examined him. Nothing he said was helpful to the Commonwealth. Nothing. And he plays this whole thing because he's got this whole victims matter and blah, blah, blah matters. It's okay, I thought we were here to solve the mystery of who killed John O'Keefe. What Paul has nothing interesting to say at all. So we're just
look at
fast forward.
Kristen, the oldest. John becoming legal guardian of the.
So then he talks about he does this whole thing, talks about John's history and adopting the kids. It's we know all this, dude. You're talking to people. Everybody knows this. This dude is acting like he's this huge podcaster that is telling you all about John O'Keefe. What a great. We all fucking know, bro. We all know. Everybody knows this. This is not groundbreaking or interesting at all.
2 kids, Patrick and Kaylee, thus raising them on his own.
Raising the kids.
I recall her complaining that he wasn't nice to her, something to that effect, and I was kind of the referee in that entire situation.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, with John being a cop, he could not work remotely.
Oh, that's how they found each other.
For Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer McCabe saw her as an easy target about somebody that.
Okay.
And Kerry Roberts. Bill John O'Keefe and frame Karen Reed as the Free Karen Reed movement by a woman blackout drunk, or perhaps a sinister plan to kill a man who rejected her, or as the Free Karen Reed movement contends, with Turtleboy driving that bus full of what have become known as turtle riders, did an elaborate conspiracy take place to kill John O'Keefe and frame Karen Reed for his murder, one of which would have to include, thus far, Jennifer McCabe and Kerry Roberts.
I think Kerry Roberts was a genuine friend of John O'Keefe, and she displayed genuine emotion, and that she truly believes that Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. I also think she's a free lunch for Jennifer McCabe. So Jennifer McCabe saw her as an easy target about somebody that she could manipulate, because she needed Kerry on her side. She needed Peggy O'Keefe and Paul O'Keefe on her side. She made sure, if you look at her call log, they were some of the first people that she spoke with, and she has ingratiated herself with. So I think that Kerry Roberts was easily manipulated.
The Iceman. It's this whole thing about it's just bro, I am getting to the bottom of this, and I'm going to show you things you've never seen before. Yeah, and by the way, all those things came directly from Aidan, who I am now shitting on and making up lies about. And yeah, I investigated stuff. I will tell you stuff about John O'Keefe that nobody knows, bro. We know all this shit. Where you been?
Inside the Good Samaritan Hospital, Paul and his parents emerge from the room where they had just viewed John's body leave the hospital.
I actually blew her a kiss.
Change in the coming hours as things throughout that morning and afternoon evolve into an understanding and belief by many that Karen is responsible for John's death, thus creating enormous hatred, anger, and a massive divide. After Peggy and Paul get back to John's Meadows Avenue house and explain to the kids John is dead, Karen calls and asks if she can stop over and see them. Paul says, of course. Karen is calling from the hospital. She had arrived there herself in a separate ambulance. Remember when Karen left the scene with Kerry and the Canton PD called Kerry to tell her to bring Karen back? There was a good reason behind that move. Karen's parents had called the Canton PD worried about their daughter, in fear for her life, and explained that Karen was suicidal and had pills in her purse she could potentially use to kill herself. So the Canton Police Department sectioned Karen, which was why she had been brought to the hospital in a second ambulance to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. Turtleboy sees only one person behind Karen being sectioned.
So Karen allegedly at the scene makes statements that she doesn't want to live anymore.
No, I don't see one person behind Karen being sectioned. The only person behind Karen being sectioned is Karen. Karen made suicidal statements, so she had to be sectioned, period. It wasn't, this was not some Jen McCabe plot. I never say that. I never say that. I say that she took advantage of the fact after Karen Reed gets sectioned, so she's out of the picture for these critical hours. That is when Jennifer McCabe starts changing her story with Michael Lank and tells him, oh, wait, actually, she said this really incriminating thing I totally forgot to tell the cops a couple hours ago. Now that I think of it, yeah. But that doesn't mean that she plotted to put Karen Reed in the hospital. Karen Reed put herself there.
I mean, what you just experienced, your boyfriend appears to be dead. Like, I don't want, she's freaking out. She's in trauma. And so you got to go to the hospital for evaluation when that happens. Involuntary. That's when Jennifer McCabe calls at 9 o'clock. She calls her good friend Michael Lank from the Canton Police Department and says, come on back here. I have a story to tell you. And Jen McCabe tells Michael Lank, I just remembered Karen in the car over was saying, could I have did it? Could I have done it? Could I have hit him?
In Michael Lank's report of that conversation, he says Jennifer McCabe remembered Karen saying, I hope I didn't hit him. And she also tells Lank that Karen might have made the same statements in front of another officer on the scene. In fact, several people will eventually come forward, as I said at the top of the episode, and claim Karen Reed made similar incriminating statements. And to be fair, Turtleboy calls Michael Lank Jennifer's good friend. That is a stretch. They knew each other, certainly, but were by no means good friends.
Like, this is just for the first time. She suddenly
were by no means good friends. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they didn't hang out every weekend. It's all the same social circle, bro. Like, they got the professional courtesy because of that. That's it. Oh my God.
remembers that Karen was saying stuff like this. And Karen's not there to defend herself. Karen's in the hospital. So while Karen's in the hospital, Jennifer McCabe starts to talk to cops and put this in their head that maybe Karen did it.
You see that shit? Like it's constant little shit like that. Correction, fact check. This didn't happen. Fact check. Did you fact check Denise Galvin? Did you fact check yourself when you said that like these people didn't answer the phone? Or you claim that she did delete those things. Well, she said otherwise. Did you fact check her? You fact check that one, Phelps? No, you're trying to sound like you're smarter than me. That's all this is. He doesn't like the fact that in episode 1, he plays this clip of me where I talk about my education. And I say something to the effect of that I went to UMass and I graduated with a 2.08 degree. Like we had like 10 hours of audio, and he chose to put that in there where I talk about how bad my GPA was. Because my point was, I'm like, I had like policy called C's and D's get degrees. And I was not like, I hated school. I was not a school guy, you know, which is ironic because I became a teacher, but like, I don't like going to class. I didn't like doing homework. I did what I got to do to get by and graduate. Right. And, but my point here, like, so did fucking Bill Gates. Like, so did like a lot of great fucking Americans just school wasn't their thing, you know? And like, he chose to play that part because he wanted to show like, I'm actually a real journalist. I'm like him. He's the guy that didn't even get good grades and barely skated by. And like that's little shit like that he chose to include in there. I see what he was doing. I'm not stupid.
You know, she hit him. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she was drunk. And she talked to John Keith's mother. She's like, oh my gosh, she heard what Karen was saying. Oh my God, Karen, I think Karen might have done this.
Remember, it was Karen's own parents asking for her to be sectioned. No one else. And there is no evidence that Jennifer McCabe knew Karen had been sectioned at the time she makes that call to Sergeant Lank. A fair question to ask might be this. Did Karen's parents trigger the sectioning so Karen did not have to answer any questions by the police?
A fair question would be, did Karen's parents trigger the sectioning so that Karen wouldn't have to answer questions for the police? And he did say that. Little shit like that. I'm actually 5'8"3/4, but whatever. It's like 5'7" sounds a lot shorter. You know what I mean? Little shit like that. That's not, again, he told my manager when my manager was acted as an intervener and went and ran to him, and he said, well, Phelps says that he's just following the facts. Bro, that's not following the facts. That is not following the facts. When you put it out there that, oh, I have this crazy conspiracy theory. That's what it is, a conspiracy theory that actually he's like, oh shit, my daughter is out of control. I don't want the cops talking to her. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend that she's suicidal. I'm going to say that she made suicidal thoughts so that she has to get put in the hospital. Aha! And that will keep her out of jail. Do you know how retarded that sounds? There's zero evidence to back that up. Zero. This is a guy who keeps claiming that he's following the facts. This ain't following the facts. This is you coming up with some fucking conspiracy theory bullshit that literally an argument no one is making.
Police. Karen had spoken to her parents and made that call to them near 1 a.m. Were Mr. and Mrs. Reed actually quarterbacking the situation?
Oh my God.
Here's Jennifer McCabe describing that early morning after John.
Fucking disrespectful. This isn't just some innocent. This is him implicating the Reed parents in a crime. They've been through enough. You coward. Matt Phelps, you coward. I dare you to say that to Bill and Janet Reed's face. I double dare you. You wouldn't do that in a million fucking years. I'll give you their contact information if you need it. Okay? I dare you to ask him that. You won't ask him that because you're a coward. Coward. Karen had nothing to hide from the police. Nothing.
John's body left the scene.
At that point, different police officers, I believe, were arriving.
And you know, just like to trivialize suicide like that, it's like a serious. And why wouldn't she be suicidal? The what she's experiencing, the trauma of that situation, and you have the audacity, based on no information at all, to say that she's faking being suicidal, that her parents are quarterbacking this. How dare you? How dare you say such an offensive, horrible thing and trivialize mental health like that? How dare you? You're insulting all these people. Anyone in the world who's ever dealt with mental health before. You are trivializing it because you're saying you don't believe them. People aren't going to come forward and say that they're dealing with mental health struggles now because assholes like you, and that's what you are, a personal attack. Oh, I wouldn't if you didn't act like an asshole, I would have to call you that. Okay. This is beyond shit. This is not following the facts. This is you trivializing a very, very serious issue. This isn't just agree to disagree. This is you being a fucking piece of shit. That's what this is being. Like, how dare you? You should apologize to Bill and Janet Reed if you had any dignity whatsoever. How dare you?
They were asking questions about what happened. To be honest, it was like I was there, but everything was just going on. And I was completely just in a state of shock and disbelief. So I talked to a few officers. We tried to just give them, getting come home. We went out looking for him, kind of just the brief overview. And then one of the police officers asked me to go into the house and to wake up my sister and my brother-in-law.
Jennifer then goes into the house to tell her sister and brother-in-law what's going on.
And I'm calling out their names. Brian responded first, and he was very, startled and looked at me like, what is going on? Nicole took a little, I think it took Nicole a little bit longer than Brian to wake up. I'm telling them that we just found John out front. And I could have possibly said John has died. We just found John out front. They were very confused. At one point, I think Brian was like, who's John? I mean, they just woken up and they had no idea what I was talking about.
According to her testimony in 2024, both Nicole and Brian were sound asleep. What Jennifer says here flies in the face of her making those calls to her sister and brother-in-law and potentially speaking to them, which computer forensics later proved, because we know the calls were answered.
Because we know the calls were answered.
After and Brian
possibly said John has died. We just found John out front. They were very confused. At one point, I think Brian was like, who's John? I mean, they just woken up and they had no idea what I was talking about.
According to her testimony in 2024, both Nicole and Brian were sound asleep. What Jennifer says here flies in the face of her making those calls to her sister and brother-in-law and potentially speaking to them, which computer forensics later proved, because we know the calls were answered. After Brian and Nicole get dressed, they come down the stairs and are greeted by Canton Police Officer Sergeant Michael Lank, who is waiting to speak with them. Lank knows the Alberts quite well, actually. If you recall, Brian Albert's brother Kevin is a veteran Canton Police Department detective.
Oh, so who doesn't know them?
And as Turtleboy pointed out, even Jennifer McCabe knows Lank. In fact, they might not be great friends, but they do go way back.
Yes.
He's from Canton. He was, 5 years older than me. I knew him kind of growing up, who he was, and met him through the years.
It is at this moment that Mike Lank should have stepped away and recused himself from the investigation immediately, without question. Lank did explain that the Canton Police Department was not going to be involved in a majority of the investigation.
They were conflicted out of it 2 hours prior, my dude. If you knew the facts, you would know the Canton Police. He shouldn't have even come at all. He should have said, call the state police.
Tells Jennifer to stick around because the Massachusetts State Police are on the way and are going to need to speak to her. Lank then leaves. But sometime later, before the state police arrive, Jennifer calls Lank, as Turtleboy explained just a moment ago, and asks him to come back to Fairview. She has something she wants to tell him.
Yeah.
This is when Jennifer states that Karen mentioned that she could have hit John with her SUV.
Well, as I was sitting there and I was waiting for the state police to come, I was with the comments and the remarks that Karen Reed had been stating that morning. I said that she told one of the EMTs that she hit him.
And that statement is what gets the ball rolling on pointing a finger at Karen Read for killing her boyfriend by striking him down with her SUV before intentionally leaving the scene. Before, that is, apparently, setting up an elaborate search for John with Kerry Roberts and Jennifer McCabe very early that morning. And while all of that is going on, Turtleboy and the Free Karen Read movement contend a conspiracy is taking shape in the background. A conspiracy to frame Karen Read for John's murder, to play some sort of role in the plot to frame Karen Read, either willingly or inadvertently. Before the Massachusetts State Police are even involved in the investigation, or Sergeant Michael Lank shows up at 34 Fairview, and before Jennifer McCabe calls Lank to tell him what she remembers, a Canton Police Department patrolman leaves the Canton PD to go check on John O'Keefe's niece and nephew at 1 Meadows Avenue.
Charles Ray.
Like most of the Canton PD's patrol cars, the dash cam is on and recording as he heads over to Meadows. Snow is coming down heavily. It's near 8:15 a.m. As he pulls into the driveway and stops, there in front of him, the dash cam records, is a clear view of the back of Karen Read's Lexus, which is parked in the front of the garage where she left it to head over to Fairview with Kerry and Jennifer. And it's absolutely clear from this video that there is a cavity on the right side back taillight lens, packed with snow. And that part of the right side taillight, the upper red portion of it on Karen Read's Lexus, is gone. Please subscribe to my...
Part of it. Is the whole thing gone? That's a fucking question, dude. I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. All right. I'm going to play a couple clips from episode 2 in a minute. And a lot of people are like, why are you playing this, dude? Well, bro, because it fucking sucks. Because I'm pissed. And I just want to fucking listen to this shit. And I want to vent. That's what I do. So go to another fucking channel if you don't like it. I'm not giving this guy attention because I want it. Because I like to call out people I consider frauds. And I think I feel frauded by this guy. Like, and I'm very disappointed in my manager too. Very. All right. Let me read some turtle chats here. It is, exactly. It's good content. Come on. Let's go. Don't ask stupid questions. All right. Next. Brenda sends $10 and goes, Phelps only did this podcast to try to make money off of your followers. Period. He's an opportunist, get a contract attorney and fire your so-called manager. Yeah, that's a real problem that we're gonna have to deal with. Yeah, and again, he's just, you can't tell the story. Like, I'm valuable to this shit. Like, you don't want to work, like, you want to fucking disrespect me like that? I mean, fuck you, you know? All right. Lizika sends, how much did she send here? $10. Matt Phelps is a minister famous for murdering his wife with pharmaceuticals. Not him. #1 Google result. I've listened to Phelps for over a decade and found him a talented long-form storyteller. I'm confused. So this is one of the 7% that has heard of him. I'm confused by his direction on this, though I will say he does allow people to tell their own lies. I hold hope, but I can't listen in the meantime. It will depend on his story is about divisive trolls or the story of humanity. Okay. Thank you, Lizika. Amber sends $5 and goes, I love you so much. Just asking questions. Thank you, Amber. I love you too. Bradford sends $25 and he goes, Plodcast equals podcast plus Plevin. We could call it the Plodcaster. Amber sends $5 and goes, the whole podcast thing was a setup. Remember how you were saying none of the McAlberts will sue you for calling them cop killers? Well, McAlberts got with Phelps. The two put their story version out. And if you slander or Phelps down with this podcast, they're all going to Phelps to sue you. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's how lawsuits work, Amber, but I appreciate that. And I don't think he's a McAlbert plant. I think that my manager trusted him and clearly has a bias towards him and an affinity towards him and can't look at this fairly and can't see this for what it is. Because again, my manager he contacted me because of the Karen Read shit. And it's like, I love what you're doing with this. This is great stuff. Well, it's great. So I'm saying Karen Read's innocent, and this guy's clearly saying the exact opposite without saying it. So you can't have it both ways. Michelle sends $15 and goes, hey, Dr. Turtleboy, Jen Altman pounced on me in chat for putting shit on grifter Phelps. Said I was wrong and had no right to say anything because I didn't know him and had never spoken to him. Do you still think I'm wrong, Jen? LMFAO. Fair is fair. Fair is fair, Jen. She did donate $15 too, so thank you very much for that, Michelle. Amber sends $10 and says, I love you since the day you came on DUI Guy. Nice. I haven't heard from Larry in a while. How's he doing? But I'm trying to see how you want people to download Phelps' lies about murder just so it doesn't hurt your pockets. Hence your X comment. My head has been twisted since you said that. Please tell me you're not that guy. Well, because it's harmless. So if you hit the download button, I make money. But I would not suggest like listening to this. That's what I'm saying. But if you download it, I get paid. So if you like me, then you can then hit the download button and I'll make money. That's it. No, I didn't break up, but I just haven't heard from him in a while. I mean, I don't talk to everybody every day that I'm friends with, you know? So there's that. No, I like Larry a lot. Larry was great during the trial. Okay. So thank you for that. That makes sense to you. I appreciate that, Amber. Daisy sends $5, goes, Phelps is mad because you are getting so much credit as an investigative journalist. So he's being a Plevin, being super jealous on the podcast. You know, maybe. Thank you, Daisy. Ashley sends $10 and goes, when you get pulled over, this is a long fucking thing. You can't do the long things, guys. When you get pulled over in Canton for going 38 and a 35 while listening to Turtleboy Live, you got to rock out with your cock out and maximize the volume as they ask for your license and registration. Yes, that just happened. Must have been my rubber duckies and all the times my Jeep has been ducked. Okay. Again, thank you very much. She has a long thing here. I can't read the whole thing. But I appreciate that very much, Ashley, and keep up the great work. Jennifer D sends $50 and says, fuck Phelps. Let's make Turtleboy rich. Thank you. I'm all for being rich too. So I completely agree with you. Thank you. It's $10 from Scooby. Scooby says Phelps for a #1 seed in Ratchet Madness 2025. We'll see. Lori sends $10 and goes, Doctor, what's your take on why Hank took the prosecutor job? Vote Trump for Peanut. R.I.P. What is Peanut? I don't even know what that. I've seen people tweeting about it. I haven't followed it. But yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, CashApp. Why he took it? Because they're going to pay him a lot more than $75,000. If you think Hank Brennan is only working for $75,000, then I got a bridge to sell you in Kansas or some shit. Like it ain't gonna happen. Like they're going. There's no way this guy's doing 6 months worth of work. And Hank Brennan, I would estimate what he probably makes in a year. He probably makes $1 million a year. Don't you guys think? Would you estimate that? A guy like Hank Brennan, who is, you know, a well-known attorney in Boston, probably charges at least $1,000 an hour normally, I would guess. You know, probably making close to $1 million a year. So if this trial and the leading up to it takes 6 months, right? He doesn't have time for other clients. Like he can't do other work. So if he's making $1 million a year, that's $500,000. He's just giving up. That's what he's going to expect to be compensated. He's not doing this out of the goodness of his own heart because he felt like lynching Karen Reed. That's not happening. There's no fucking way this guy is working for $75,000 and douchebag McGee, Ken Mello's working for 80. Ain't happening. No fucking way. So I don't believe that at all. He will get more money than that. Trust me. Thank you. Lori sends $10 and goes, Doctor, no. Sonny sends $25 and goes, you've earned it. I'll call you daddy. No offense to Meredith. None taken. I love her too. But seriously, your work is invaluable. Thanks for all you do and have sacrificed to bring us the truth. You're very welcome. Sunny days. I appreciate that. CC sends $10 and goes, Dr. Turtleboy, please make certain you get an executive producer credit and points on the back end of any film or book deal you or Karen Reed sign. You and Karen Reed are heroes and legends. Jackson will hook you up with entertainment lawyers and managers. I wish I could tith the 40% to you. Love. Well, thank you very much for that one. CC. Deborah sends $5. She says, I agree with you with MCAS and tipping for sure, but I'm not a Trumper, but I love your journalism and how you get to the truth. I've watched 3 of the Phelps podcasts. He seems to totally believe Jen. Sorry, he lost me after that. He mentioned about a murder in his family. I wonder if that's affecting his opinion. Keep reporting on the truth. Nurse Deb. Well, thank you very much, Deb. And I'm glad we can agree to disagree. Thank you. Marie sends $10 and goes, I feel so bad for John O'Keefe's father. He looks so sad. Peggy O'Keefe is a cunt. Paul O'Keefe is a bitch. They are grifters looking for money. How sad they don't even really give a shit to Karen enough about the 2 kids. They just want money. Paul needs to pay for his DUI elderly major bodily injury case. I hope Karen Reed's attorneys asked for the money to be reimbursed for the bail that she paid for Paul O'Keefe. Exactly. And you know what? If you guys haven't seen it yet, so they took a major L, and I talked about this in Turtle Club, and I wrote a story about it in court. A major L, man. That's embarrassing what happened to them in their stupid lawsuit with Karen Reed, which is going nowhere, which I told you was going nowhere from the beginning, that they get to stay it until the end of the criminal trial because she's got Fifth Amendment rights. And then these dipshits come out and have this theory that no, she's actually surrendered her Fifth Amendment rights because she exercised her First Amendment rights, as if exercising one of your rights disqualifies your other rights. So women, I got bad news for you. If you voted in this election, you've exercised your 19th Amendment rights. I got bad news for you. You no longer have Fifth Amendment rights. That's how it works in the eyes of Mark Diller. If you exercise one of your rights, you give up another right. Some fucking how. That made sense to him. And he actually made that legal argument in a court of law. I know I am not a fucking lawyer, but I know how the fucking Bill of Rights works. And that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. And a Norfolk Superior and a Plymouth Superior Court judge told them that actually, yeah, you can't do that. Okay. That ruling was just a complete smackdown of Paul and Peggy O'Keefe and their stupid attorney, Mark Diller. Now, I call him stupid, but I don't think he's actually stupid. I think at first I thought they're taking this on a contingency basis, which doesn't make any sense now because you only take contingency cases when you think you're going to win, right? Because you're doing all this work and you want a payday at the end. So you want like 40, whatever percent you agree to of the, that's how it works. It's where people sue tobacco companies and fucking major corporations. They want a piece of that sweet potato pie at the end. Well, that's why you don't sue losers. Like you're not going to get, if I wanted to sue somebody like Krusty Painters or some shit, it would not be on a contingency basis because they're broke because there's no money to get out of these people. So I have to pay out of pocket and then get nothing in return. That's why it's a waste of time, right? So with this, they have to be paying out of pocket. There's no way this dude's taking this on a contingency basis and making stupid arguments like this in court. Peggy and Paul O'Keefe are making him say it. Like they came up with this fucking bright idea of suing her because they thought that they could get her deposed before the next trial. That failed. That was their stupid idea. And normally lawyers would be like, no, that's not a good business. That's not a good strategy. But Diller is like, well, fuck it anyway. They're paying me by the hour. I assume. That's my guess. I don't know as a fact. But I'm guessing that he's not doing, because that's a stupid thing to do on contingency. So he's got to be getting paid by the hour by them to do this. And where the fuck are they getting that money from? And then it clicked. Why is Kaylee on the lawsuit? She's one of the plaintiffs, not Patrick, just Kaylee. And then it clicked. Well, if one of the kids was listed on the lawsuit as a plaintiff, then they could use the trust fund that Karen Reed set up for the children to finance this. They could. Legally, they would be allowed to do that. They couldn't do that if one of the children was not listed as a plaintiff, right? Because they only need one kid. Only one of them is listed on there. So again, that doesn't prove anything. I'm not a Phelps. I'm not going to say that this is what they're doing, but that would make sense. That would be a possibility. That would be a reason that they added this child. It would enable them, if they wanted to use the trust fund to pay this attorney. Because I have a hard time believing that he's doing this for free. That he's doing this contingency based because ain't no money coming out of this at the end of the day. Nothing. And they issued a statement. I believe here it is. Of course, they issued to WCVB, which is where Greg Henning, Brian Albert's attorney, is employed as a legal analyst. And after taking that big fat L in court, David Bienick, who asked me the stupid question outside of my arraignment and asked me, are you really making $5 million a year? Like imagine that a journalist gets arrested and you know, for activism and journalism. And the first question you ask him is, are you really making $5 million a year? I'm like, how much are you making? I don't know. How much are you making? This is the statement. Of course, he goes, following a judge's ruling to delay Karen Read's deposition in a civil lawsuit, the O'Keefes released this statement to WCVB. They picked you for a reason, bro. Keep in mind, this is a day or two after they announce that they told Vanity Fair, we have no comment. They got nothing to say to Vanity Fair. They had all that. We're going to start telling the truth and blah, blah, blah. They had nothing to say. They can't get in front of a fucking microphone and say this. God knows that, because she can only say, where's Lindsay? That's the only words that come out of her mouth. Karen Read has told many stories about the 2012 death of our beloved John O'Keefe. Nope, she hasn't. She's told the same fucking story every time, dipshit. In extensive interviews for 2-hour network specials. A two-part series in a glossy national magazine. Tell me you're butthurt about the Vanity Fair article without telling me you're butthurt about it. That article is just like, oh yeah. Yeah, she is doing all that. And to bloggers and social media posters. But while she makes herself, you forgot Boston Magazine too, by the way. She also did that. But while she makes herself endlessly available to anyone who publishes what she says, we must wait months or even years before she will ever have to answer our questions under oath. Well, douchebag, she don't have to answer your questions under oath because she has Fifth Amendment rights. Now, if you want to bring her into it, you can do it after the trial if you'd like. You can depose her. You can do all that. Go ahead. Go ahead. And guess what? She's not afraid to do that either, Peggy. You think she's not afraid of answering your fucking questions? Douchebag. Fucking Karen Read would destroy your soul, Paul O'Keefe, if she was ever in a room with you being deposed. I hope you know that. That she would make you look like a fucking idiot that you are. Okay. And they go on to say, we watch and read these ever-changing stories that don't square with what we know is true. We know is true. We mourn John. What happened to Johnny? No Johnny? No JJ? It's John now. Huh? Holding out hope for justice through the courts. Well, the only justice comes when you hear the words not guilty when the verdict comes in. That's when justice comes, Peggy. And when these douchebags, the McAlberts, get indicted, I'll let you know. Okay? So thank you for that one, Marie. Detective Mullen sends $15, goes, come to daddy. Free Karen Read. Thank you very much. Leanne sends $10, goes, if Matt is wrong about Karen, I could never listen to any podcast he has done and trust it. I mean, this is feedback, Matt, from the people. Tara sends $10 and goes, M. Phelps, do an entire episode about rubber duckies and your podcast will be restored. True. Allison sends $10. My beautiful name, my daughter's name. Spelt the right way too. Sends $10 and goes, though we may disagree politically, I respect your opinions and follow you for your incredible journalism. Plus, you're hilarious and entertain me on a daily basis, so I could never unfollow over politics. God bless you people. I love it. Free Karen Read and free Turtleboy. Well, thank you, Allison. Colleen sends $25 and says, donating so I don't support that clown. Love it. Okay, so I think I read these. I also have here, let's see, some cash apps. Lisney sends $5 and goes, shout out YouTube, Las Vegas Cops TV for also debunking this case. Yes, thank you very much. Chad sends $5 and goes, Phelps should swim in Dead Hooker Pond. It's not a threat. It's a pond in Worcester. Yes, go for a swim there. $5 for Chad in loving memory of Peanut. I'm going to have to research who Peanut is after this. I'm sure you guys are all know in the chat, but I haven't been able to keep up. $20 from Jody says, fuck the haters. November is going to be great. Let's fucking go. Agreed, Jody. Thank you. Sandra sends $10 and says, 30,000 Haitians moving to your town. It's a lot of Haitians. I'm not going to lie. That would more than double the population. I don't I don't know about that, Sandra. Thank you. Eileen sends $5. No comment. Thank you, Eileen. She also Sandra sends $10 and goes legal fees from Callie Sandy, registered nurse. Thank you very much, Sandra. Callie Sandy. Tracy sends $5 and goes Denise Galvin. No, we don't know you, Matt. Okay, thank you, Tracy. Pepper sends $10 and goes, I'm downloading the podcast. Give me strength. You don't have to listen to it. Just download it. Okay, thank you, Pepper. Okay, cool. All right. If anyone else wants their messages read, I'll read them again in a little bit. The link is at the top for the Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $Uncle-Turtleboy, and we'll do it that way. All right, let's play part 2 because I got some parts of this we got to play too of the podcast. Oh, and one more thing I got to show you here. That was, let's see, 7:15 mark. Hold on. This is what Suzanne tells me is the, let's see. Hopefully she gets it right here. Let's see. Count on you, Suzanne. That this is the part I was looking for.
Until it
listed as a member. So
there were other areas or databases, bases, within the phone that contain that same information.
Yes. So the main database of the iPhones is the 𝗺𝗫𝗃 database. They're also using Biome, and then if you're using the newer software now, it's another area I won't bore you with, but depending on the iOS you're using for the phone, it's going to depend on where that data is being stored.
Now, specifically with respect to Ms. McCabe's phone, one of the contentions Mr. Green had was in regard to a contact for Brian Albert. Is that correct?
Yes, that was another one.
With respect to that, what, if anything, were you able to find within Ms. McCabe's phone in regard to contact information for Brian Albert?
Yeah, so Mr. Green's report said that he located a deleted screenshot of Brian Albert's contact that was in her phone. The contact for Brian Albert was still in her phone, not deleted. So
he didn't say the contact was deleted. He said the screenshot of the contact was deleted. She took a screenshot. She sent it to Proctor, and then she deleted it.
You're right, Mel.
She just deleted the screenshot.
Yeah.
So the contact for Brian Albert was still in her phone, not deleted. So I don't know, maybe she just deleted the screenshot.
Yeah, why would she delete her brother-in-law's contact info?
Ms. McCabe's phone, what, if anything, did you do with regard to the call log history in Ms. McCabe's phone?
Call log history.
I exported it all out to a PDF so I could view it. And again, like I said, there's, I think, 1,104 phone calls from going all the way back to October of 2020, I want to say. And phone calls, FaceTime, they're all, the calls are there, all the records, and they're all stored in different areas of the phone. The only ones that show the wall file deleted were the ones from the 29th going up to the end, towards the end of the day on the 29th.
Wait, what is that?
With respect to the call history, where
Stored in different areas of the phone. Calls from going all the way back to October of 2020, I want to say. And phone calls, FaceTime, they're all, the calls are there, all the records, and they're all stored
All
in
the
different areas of
records
the
are
phone.
there. Okay.
The only ones that show the wall file deleted were the ones from the 29th going up to the end, towards the end of the day on the 29th.
and now with respect to the call history, where or how is that typically stored within an iOS device?
I believe that's stored in the call stored --SQLite database.
Dan, where's the part where he says that she didn't? That's all I wanted was the part, the timestamp part where he says that nothing was deleted. That's the only part I want.
Didn't she swear under oath she didn't delete any calls? It's getting red.
What, if any, difference storage-wise is that SQLite database versus the wall?
So again, yeah, that database where the call logs are sent, it's going to have a corresponding wall file where the data is going to be put temporarily. And then, as I said, it gets automatically deleted by the iOS, by the operating software. It's not user enabled.
Okay.
And so
We love you too, Sarah.
those 1,104 phone call history records contained in the traction of Mr. K's phone. What, if any, opinion do you have in regard to whether or not those items were deleted by any user?
I don't believe they were. And actually, I will say one of the phone calls was from the actual main call stored database. That could have been user deleted, but again, it's in two other spots in the operating system. So I don't know how or why the iOS stores it the way it does, and then marks what.
So she didn't actually delete it. There you go. Matt Phelps says that Jennifer McCabe deleted 18 calls, but this guy said, no. She didn't actually delete anything. I remembered that. From the trial, but Matt Phelps didn't, because I don't think Matt Phelps watched a lot of this trial like I did, quite frankly. So there's that. Okay, let's get back to dunking on Matt Phelps, shall we? Part 2. Grant Smith Phelps. Okay. And again, comments are all off for all of these.
Is Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps presents and Mom's Basement Media Production.
Out about the murder of John.
Part of Fairview, and it's a longer road, and you come up.
Fairview Road brought out deep-seated hatred and animosity some families in town harbor for one another. It's where everything that took place between John O'Keefe stepping out of his girlfriend Karen Reed's vehicle on that snowy night in 2022 and the trial of Karen Reed for his murder 2.5 years later gave birth to controversy, conspiracy, cover-up, corruption, right alongside all the bitter and frenzied division in town that came with it. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the true crime author of close to 50 books. You might know me from my #1 Apple podcast hit, Paper Ghosts, and my weekly show, Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps. I've spent the past and harassed for her belief that Karen Reed has been railroaded.
I either go right or left when I leave my house.
So there's a lot of interviews with Rita. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Rita's great. We know she is.
I'm bad police. And if edge of the neighborhood
now has that iconic place in American crime culture, like and conspiracy is nothing more than a smokescreen, an imaginary narrative shielding one simple truth, that an intoxicated woman got behind the wheel of her vehicle and, with or without intent, struck her boyfriend down after he got out of the automobile and then sped away, leaving him to die in the cold, freezing to death.
Again, he's not saying that happened there.
The last night of John O'Keefe's life began at a local Canton bar.
A voice on my wife's phone was yelling, like screaming,
into his wife Carrie's cell phone. Carrie Roberts, who you heard from in the last episode, has the heading out in what is now an intense blizzard bearing down on the region in full force to go and search for her. Screaming, her voice garbled, perhaps even slurred. Wait a minute, Carrie thinks. John was hit by a plow truck driver? Listening to Turtleboy, please understand that he editorializes and speculates. Listening to Turtleboy, please Turtleboy develops a nickname for Jennifer.
Jennifer McCabe from there on out. He's never done this before, not come home. He's a good father.
Jennifer McCabe never slept. Turtleboy cannot know this for
certain.
Here
we go. At 4:53. For some reason, after a night of drinking, Jennifer McCabe has not gone to bed, and she was awake at 4:53 and gets the phone call and answers it.
I think it's a bit of speculation to say Jennifer McCabe never slept. Turtleboy cannot know this for certain. And, as is his signature, Turtleboy develops a...
So I said there that Jennifer McCabe was up all night, that she didn't go to sleep. Okay? That's what I said. M. William Phelps editorializes that and says this.
And she was awake at 4:53 and gets the phone call and answers it.
I think it's a bit of speculation to say Jennifer McCabe never slept. Turtleboy cannot know this for certain. And, as is his signature...
Turtleboy cannot know this for certain. Oh, really? Oh, really? Is that a fact? Can't know this for certain, huh? Huh. Okay, what do we got here? So there's a text message between Matt Phelps and I, but I can't know this for certain. And, oh, wait. Okay, so I've sent some testimony here. I think I have a copy of this. Let me get that from my Phelps. What do we got here? I sent him that message before, and I just went to our message. He has notifications silenced. He doesn't want to hear any of this shit. He doesn't have time for this. Let me send this on Facebook Messenger to myself. All right. Okay, so let's see what it says here. What is this? No, we don't want that. Here it is. I want this. Contrary to her assertions to law enforcement. So this is an affidavit written by Alan Jackson that cites Jennifer McCabe's health data. So Richard Green takes Jennifer McCabe's phone and extracts it all and analyzes it all. He looks at it and he prints out, and this is entered, no side disputes this, that this isn't her Apple Health data. He prints out and shows what her Apple Health data shows. And it shows her heart rate. Okay. And her heart rate is incredibly high during a time in which she's supposed to be sleeping, in which your heart rate would not be that high. Okay. It also shows that her Apple, again, look at this is what the Apple Health data shows. Contrary to her assertions to law enforcement, she obviously had a lot on her mind. Okay. So that's opinion, but this is not. Data taken from her Apple Watch establishes that she was up much of the night pacing. At 2:32 a.m., she took 22 steps. At 3:50 a.m., she took 24 steps. At 3:51, she took 6 steps. At 4:55, she took 24 steps. And it came from the affidavit of Richard Green, which is not Richard Green's opinion. All that was him saying, this is what her Apple Health data shows, that she moved that much at that time. The Apple Health data obtained from her phone shows that her heart rate reached 11-hour low at 12:49 a.m. and a high at 6:42 a.m. Interesting. So heart rate increases during that time, some fucking how. Interesting. Now let's go back to so I send that to him. As soon as I hear this in the podcast, I'm like, whoa, buddy. Whoa. We're not following the facts here, Mr. I follow the facts. So I says to him, I send that to him. I go, hey, I listened to part 2, and you said it's speculation that Jennifer McCabe never left, and that I can't know that for certain. Jennifer's Apple Watch shows that she took 24 steps at 3:50 a.m., blah, 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 blah. That's not speculation. It's a provable fact. And he says that's a Rich Green document. So basically, this is what like the Plevins of the world say. Well, it's from Rich Green, can't be trusted. It's not Rich Green. It's fucking her Apple Health data. He's just citing her Apple Health data. That's fucking it. That's what it says on her Apple Health data. That she was walking around. And then the real kicker. We don't know if she was using the toilet or what she was doing. It's a guess. Are you fucking kidding me? The excuses he gives for these people. Oh, yeah, the phone was answered, but we don't know who answered it. Maybe it was Chloe. We don't know who else could have answered. Well, who the fuck answered? Someone in the house answered it. Someone fucking answered it, which means someone in the house was fucking awake. Somebody fucking was. This dude, he's going out of his way to, like, this is not following the facts, Matt. You making shit up. Says, we don't know if she was using the toilet. Well, here's the problem, Matt, with that excuse you've just made for them. It's not from her phone. It's from her watch. Riddle me this, Matt. If she was sleeping, then why the fuck is her watch on? Who goes to sleep with their Apple Watch on? Let me take your fucking watch off. You go keep it on. What? If she got up to take a leak and she was sleeping, I can't. I just can't. I can't deal with the stupidity. I can't do it. Like, this is just, that's when I realized he's not being an honest person. And I responded to him and I said that, and he didn't respond. He just didn't respond, and I haven't heard from him since. And he's only whined to my manager, our mutual manager, about how mean I am to him. That's it. Because he's not.
Turtleboy develops a nickname for Jennifer.
Jennifer McCabe from there on out acts as like the quarterback for this. I call her the quarterback of the cover-up. And she is on Karen Reed duty. And her job is to prevent Karen Reed from going back to 34 Fairview Road, because she knows that John's body is lying on the front lawn and he's dying from hypothermia.
When listening to Turtleboy, please understand that he editorializes and speculates at times, adding his own thoughts and theories into the record.
Not Matt Phelps, though. No speculation from him. Just maybe she's taking a piss. Maybe Chloe answered the phone. No speculation from him. He's a very serious journalist, guys. He's not like me. He had a higher GPA than me in college. He's much more serious. He has 50 leather-bound books published.
Jennifer McCabe, her maiden name is Weeks. She's the youngest of the 4 Weeks daughters. And the Weeks actually sold their home to the Alberts like 30 years ago. So like these people both have roots in Canton that are like decades long, and they've owned property in town, and they all know each other.
Jennifer McCabe is doing what she normally does, being a mother, supporting her children.
Well, first, I set up at my house for a team dinner for my daughter's hockey team. Then I met up with some parents for my daughter played for the Canton High basketball team. So we met up with some parents before. We had a drink, appetizers. My younger 2 were with us. We fed them dinner. And then we went on to Canton High School to the basketball game.
Jennifer had known John O'Keefe for 10 years.
John's sister and her husband lived in the neighborhood, and my daughter became friends with John's niece when they were in kindergarten. And during that kindergarten year, John's sister and then brother-in-law passed away, and John moved in and took care of the kids.
John had even called Jennifer to tell her about Karen, mainly because the 2 women shared
that morning, or one morning, she had taken Kaylee to Dunkin' Donuts, and John, was frustrated, didn't, saying, don't take her.
Decided that Jennifer will drive Karen's Lexus, and from there, with it now being close to 6 a.m., They will all go searching for John together. Their first stop is Meadows Avenue to find out if John passed out somewhere inside the house. That visit to John's house, it needs to be noted, will be caught on his Ring video security camera. They head over to John's Meadows Avenue home. Karen and Jennifer in Karen's Lexus with Carrie Roberts following behind. They pull in. Jennifer parks Karen's black Lexus SUV.
I saw that there were missing pieces, but there was also snow covered.
As Karen and Jennifer step out of Karen's Lexus, what is it that we shouldn't believe Jennifer?
So there's I can't remember the timestamp on this, and I ain't listening to this whole thing. He calls Karen Reed sinister at one point.
January 29th. And depending on whom you speak to, Jennifer McCabe is either a hero or a villain in all of this.
So honestly, I didn't know of her or know her.
Sports coach, 46-year-old Jennifer McCabe personifies the cliched soccer mom, suburban housewife.
Here we go.
She is connected to most of the other sports moms in town, many of whom she grew up with. McCabe is a fit, attractive mother of 4 daughters, 15 to 20 years old, wife to Matt McCabe, and also one of the key players in Aidan Turtleboy Kearney's theory.
Fit, attractive, like, see what he's doing there? Also known as racism, my brother. Like, that's what this is. Every time you hear that, he would not say this about a fat black chick. He just wouldn't fucking say it. Like, and that is why Jennifer McCabe is getting the benefit of the doubt from these people, because she's attractive. Oh my God. Stop it with the attractive. Oh my God. Holy shit. She's not going to fuck you, dude. Relax.
Of what happens on January 28th and into the morning of January 29th. And depending on whom you speak to, Jennifer McCabe is either a hero or a villain in all of this.
So honestly, I didn't know.
Yeah, he's a Boston cop, and it was the other girl. But yeah, they were out having drinks. She's home with him.
As you can hear, Carrie doesn't seem all that concerned and figures that John just slept over someone's house. Carrie also tries to call John, but he doesn't answer. Then Karen calls Carrie back with a new plan.
I said, where are you? I'm in the car. And she said, I'm at Jen's house. And I said, Jen who? She said, Jen McCabe. She's going to drive my car. And I said, okay, stay there. I'll come to there. We'll follow and we'll drop your car off. We'll just take my car and go look for him. And I drove to Jen's and I pulled in the driveway behind them. I was still on speakerphone. Jen is driving. Karen's in the passenger seat and we drove. I said, do you remember? Did you look through the house? Could he be passed out somewhere in the house? She said, I don't know. I didn't look. So I said, let's do that. Let's get in the cars. We're not taking 2 cars. It's a blizzard. We're going to go back to Meadows and we're going to go look in the house first. He could be passed out behind the couch or on the floor. Who knows?
Motherfucker!
Makes contact with Jennifer McCabe, the woman who had actually invited Karen and John over to 34 Fairview the previous night. It's in life that stick to us. Things said and done we will never forget. For those involved on that January 28th, 2022 night and early the following, Carrie Roberts is speaking to Karen Reed. She's trying to make out what exactly Karen is telling her. Karen is frantic, manic, screaming. When did Karen see it happen? Karen still isn't making much sense, and Carrie, as anyone would be, is confused. When Carrie testified during the summer of 2024, she recalled speaking to John earlier that day, January 28th.
Wind of it. So John is calling.
This is just, I mean, talk about uninteresting and irrelevant to the story. Carrie Roberts, he talks about Carrie. He's like obsessed with Carrie Roberts in this whole thing too. Carrie Roberts wasn't at Fairview Road and she wasn't at either of the bars. She's like not an interesting, like she was so uninteresting that the defense didn't even bother cross-examining her, period.
See if my son was okay.
On the phone that snowy morning, Karen Reed tells Carrie Roberts that she checked John's niece, Kaylee's cell phone to see if John had called Kaylee throughout the night, but he hadn't.
Her voice was elevated. She was very frantic.
The fall. Kurt is startled awake at the crack of dawn the following morning, January 29th, close to 5 a.m. As he opens his eyes, he can hear the muffled voice of someone screaming into his wife Carrie's cell phone. Yet, on the other side is a growing number of people claiming all of this talk of corruption and conspiracy is nothing more than a smokescreen, an imaginary narrative shielding the rules to help friends and cover up for one another, driven by a coordinated effort of corrupt cops and community members collaborating to plant evidence and frame an innocent woman. Yet, on the other side is a growing number of people claiming all of this talk of corruption and conspiracy is nothing more than a smokescreen, an imaginary narrative shielding one simple truth.
A growing number of people, he's saying, are saying this. No, it's not a growing number of people, dude. He thinks it is because look who he follows on Twitter. Look at the people he follows on Twitter. Like, that's it.
An intoxicated woman got behind the wheel of her, sped away, leaving him to die in the cold. And Kurt is at C.F. McCarthy's on the night, a crime which has, for her, poisoned the overall goodness and pleasant, friendly community atmosphere.
People want to live in this neighborhood, and it's a nice neighborhood. It's child friendly.
He calls her.
Like I said, Boston police officers, anyone, people. If anybody could have picked him up.
As you,
No, that's why. That's, he didn't tell his niece. That.
Take my car and go look for him. Who knows?
Karen makes contact with Jennifer McCabe, the woman who had actually invited Karen and John over to 34 Fairview the previous night. A former school teacher and sports coach, 46-year-old Jennifer McCabe personifies the cliched soccer mom, suburban housewife image. She is connected to most of the other sports moms in town, many of whom she grew up with. McCabe is a fit, attractive mother of 4 daughters, 15 to 20 years old, wife to Matt McCabe, and also one of the key players in
So honestly, I didn't know, and she was in and out of like a night.
or AM. She claims she had been dozing in and out on the couch inside John's Meadows Avenue home, but also calling her parents and, in addition, dialing up John's phone incessantly, like more than 50 times, and leaving him with our scathing voicemails.
John, I'm having a fucking kid. Nobody knows what's another girl.
After getting her number from John's niece, the rural area of Fairview. And Jennifer knows these women. So Karen, in her hysteria and jealousy, is thinking that John might have hooked up with one of those women.
She leaves this voicemail pissed off. So they called it at 4:50.
As is his signature, Turtleboy develops a nickname for Jennifer.
Jennifer McCabe from there on out acts like the quarterback for this. I call her the quarterback of the cover. Yeah. And she is on Karen Reed duty. And her job is to prevent Karen
calculates at times, adding his own thoughts and theories into the record.
Jennifer McCabe, her maiden name is Weeks. She's the youngest of all know each other, and they're very well known. Their kids are all the
she normally does. Being a mother,
they're literal can't. There's
her children.
Well, first I set up at my younger two with us. We got them dinner.
The music, the piano music. Jennifer McCabe is doing what she normally does, being a mother.
And then we went on to Canton High School to the basketball game.
Jennifer had known John O'Keefe for 10 years.
John's sister and her husband lived in the neighborhood, and
Karen, mainly because the two women shared extremely personal medical challenges.
John
for dinner. Karen and Jennifer got to know each other over the years through local sports.
Personally know that habit, so it was nice to have someone who understood
what she and Karen talked about on January 28th inside the Waterfall Bar. On that night, they made plans to meet at 34 Fairview.
Karen had shared a little bit of frustration that morning, or one morning she had taken Kaylee to Dunkin' Donuts, and John, was frustrated, didn't, saying, don't take her, she's gonna, make a habit of it, meaning like she's gonna come to expect it every day. And then we just talked about how, challenging it is with kids. And, she mentioned that that's kind of all they have a fight about. And I said, yeah, well, welcome to parenthood. She just was a little bit frustrated.
On January 29th, there were 17 calls between Jennifer and John's phone. Karen's phone shows 8 calls with Jennifer on that same night. Location data on Jennifer's phone puts her at 34 husband left Fairview Road near 1:45 a.m. And after dropping someone off who was at the Albert House that night, they got home about 2:12 a.m. While at home, Jennifer says she asked her husband if he wanted to watch TV, to which he declined and went straight to bed. So Jennifer goes upstairs as well, and she later says, starts scrolling through her phone, looking at things related to her kids' sports programs, which the data proves. Jennifer's phone is unlocked at 2:23 a.m.
Believes that data.
She sends 2 text messages, then deletes 2 screenshots. At 2:27 a.m., a time which will become a very crucial moment, pieces of evidence in this case, but also has the potential of being one of the most telling bits of evidence. Accordingly looking for John. It's actually Kaylee, John's niece, who first calls Jennifer McCabe. At the phone call woke her up, and that with Kaylee on the line. So the question now becomes, why would Karen Reed be screaming Jennifer McCabe's name at 4:53 a.m., especially after leaving all those vulgar, accusatory voicemails for John?
Why would she be screaming her name? First of all, you're only hearing Jen McCabe's version. That's what Jen McCabe claims she was screaming. So he believes everything she says, even though he also stated earlier that she's lying about several things. He admits that she claims that he insists that the call to Nicole Albert was answered. Jen McCabe says that didn't happen. Okay.
Karen finally found him. Had she just realized John hooked up with one of his old girlfriends? As Karen Reed is speaking to Jennifer McCabe near 5 a.m., the first from that group she and John hung out with the previous night that she calls, Boston police officer John O'Keefe is dying. His body on the front lawn.
That John didn't come home, they got into a fight, and that she left him at the waterfall. I had just woken up, and so then I remembered that Chris Albert had still been at the bar, so
plant a seed, if you will. Jennifer had already mentioned that Karen and John were on their way to 34 Fairview, and she had been texting with John, giving him directions, asking where he was. Why would Karen now say she left John at the Waterfall Bar after they had a fight?
Why would she say that? You've only heard Jen McCabe say that, dude. And like, that's what you're focusing on. She's like, did I leave him at the waterfall? Like, what the fuck? That's what you're worried. Like, what the fuck, dude? Science says she didn't hit him with a car, period.
Karen Reed certainly knows where she dropped John off. Or perhaps she was so intoxicated, she actually doesn't remember. Jennifer's husband, Matt, wakes up during that first phone call Karen makes to Jennifer when Karen is screaming. And so Matt McCabe asks his wife, what in the hell is happening?
They got into a fight and I was trying.
Jennifer and Karen speak again.
And I say, Karen, we saw you outside of my sister.
So this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Did I hit him?
Oh, yeah.
Could I have hit him?
Oh, yeah.
A cracked taillight. These statements will have major implications and become hot button issues in the coming months and years. Okay. But in this moment, Jennifer McCabe says she just heard Karen Reed incriminate herself in perhaps unknowingly while under the influence, hitting John with her SUV, and then driving away from the scene, leaving him to die in the cold.
It was more of the
passed out somewhere inside his house.
So in the car was Kerry Roberts, and so she kind of rolled down the window and was like, Karen, what are you doing? And then the plow was behind her. So Karen's screaming, saying that she had cracked her taillight. We need to go to Fairview. could I have hit him? Did I hit him? And then she would just scream our names. Kerry was telling her to shut up, that we needed to just go back to John's and we'll drive in one car and let's go to John's. Maybe he's there and he's passed out and you didn't see him.
So according to Jennifer McCabe, it's Karen who suggests that they go over to Fairview and look for John. This is important. It puts the onus on Karen. The statement seemingly suggests that Karen knows that John is on the front lawn at Fairview dying because she is responsible for putting him there, and that it's Karen leading everyone to Fairview in order to find him. I mentioned to Turtleboy how, after I went through Jennifer McCabe's testimony and read through her statements to police with the understanding that she's never been in any legal trouble, I think Jennifer presents as a credible witness.
There it is.
Why stick your own neck out to frame an innocent woman, or at the least
presents as a credible witness? What? Imagine listening to her. She presents as like, because she's never had legal trouble before. Neither is fucking Karen Reed, but you think she's a murderer, bro. What?
lie about the events when it will only cause you and your family trouble. It makes no sense to me that Jennifer McCabe would do this.
Why would you lie about the events when it would only cause your family trouble? Are you fucking kidding me? Would you rather she confess to a murder? Has it ever convinced you that they're not telling the truth because they don't want to go to jail? This guy, but he wrote 50 books. He's fucking big shot. Real big name.
Aidan Kearney pushed back hard against my thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first, the issue that, she's credible because she's a housewife. I've heard this a lot, that she's like a soccer mom. Yeah. That's coding. When people are saying that, it means that because she's white. Like, that's what it's, okay, so she was a black woman, from Roxbury or something like that, and wasn't a mom and didn't have a minivan, then she would somehow be less credible. I mean, so I think that she's kind of benefits.
Not a psychopath by any stretch of the imagination, nor is Karen Reed for that matter. And that Turtleboy, it is decided that Jennifer will drive Karen's Lexus, and from there, with it now being close to 6 a.m., they will all go searching for John together. Their first stop is Meadows Avenue to find out if John passed out somewhere inside the house. That visit to John's house, it needs to be noted, will be caught on his Ring videos. Jennifer parks Karen's black Lexus SUV in front of the garage, almost directly under
this, but there was also snow.
That is a remarkable statement, considering that Jennifer delivers it on the witness stand, with Carrie Roberts getting out of her during their testimony. They go into the house and, according to Jennifer, she and Carrie frantically search for John while Karen seems nonchalantly unconcerned, as if to suggest she doesn't care to look because she knows he is on his back, dying on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road.
So she doesn't search the house because she knows John is dead on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road. Or perhaps she knows this is a waste of fucking time and this is all a delay tactic. Perhaps that's what's happening.
I asked Turtleboy about this moment when they are all in John's house that morning. And why is it that we shouldn't believe Jennifer McCabe? Keep in mind that Aidan Kearney spent 10 weeks inside the courtroom during Karen Reed's trial.
I know what she's all about. I know she's lying. I can see it up there. And I don't think she came across to the jury or the nation, as a whole, as credible at all in her testimony. She got extremely defensive. And whenever she got caught in a lie, she would talk about me. And she would say, we are suffering from extreme harassment.
At one point inside John's house, Jennifer goes into Kaylee's room to see if John's niece is awake.
I promised Kaylee.
Oh my God.
I promised Kaylee that I would find John and everything was going to be okay.
Oh my God. Sick.
They soon leave and head over to Fairview in Carrie Roberts' vehicle. Jennifer contends it's Karen's idea, that she is screaming for them to drive to Fairview. Carrie drives, Jennifer riding shotgun with Karen in the backseat. And according to Jennifer and Carrie, Karen is out of control, bouncing around in the backseat like a monkey on Adderall.
Like a monkey on
The ride is chaotic. Karen screaming and yelling and out of control, while that blizzard is making driving conditions almost unbearable. Top of it, it's still dark out.
Karen is in between us, like from the back, kind of pushing up in between Carrie and myself. And she's just screaming, Carrie, driving. And I'm just peering out the window looking for John. I mean,
There's a definite cracked taillight on Karen Reed's SUV. That camera above the garage at John's house is this. When Karen Reed leaves John's house that morning at, as Aidan said, 5:07 a.m., before heading over to Jennifer McCabe's, as she backs out of the garage, she bumps John's vehicle with the back passenger side of her SUV. I visited John's house. That driveway is very narrow where the garage is. John's vehicle was parked on the edge of his driveway, facing the yard, with a fence on the passenger side. The garage is on the left, the driver's side. When Karen backed out, her SUV kind of rubs into the back of John's vehicle, hitting it, actually moving the thing. You can see it on the video. What is also clear in the video is that soft bump doesn't do enough damage to the taillight to leave any red or clear plastic behind on the ground. It's just not there. Also, the idea of looking for John inside his house that morning, Aidan Kearney claims, was entirely designed by his quarterback, Jennifer McCabe.
Yeah.
Let's search the house. Maybe he's in there somewhere. Why would he be in the house? That was a delay tactic. She wants John to die from hypothermia. She can't let him get to 34 Fairview Road.
By she, Turtleboy is referring to Jennifer McCabe. And there is no testimony or evidence I have found that this was Jennifer McCabe's plan.
It's shit like that. Constant fact check. I have seen no evidence of this. Have you seen any fucking evidence that Bill Reed quarterbacked a lie to pretend that Karen Reed was suicidal? No, but that didn't stop you opening your cock kisser and having those words come out of your mouth, did it? Grant Smith Phelps. Podcast Plevin.
Turtleboy is speculating that this is part of the quarterbacking Jennifer does that night and into the next morning. A delay tactic, as he mentions, to make sure John is dead when they arrive at Fairview. I don't buy this argument. I don't see within the evidence any indication that anyone besides Karen Reed was acting erratically or sinisterly. In fact, everything Jennifer and Carrie do is entirely understandable under the conditions they were presented with.
And finally, like she's like, let's go here, let's check here, let's check here. And they go back to 34 Fairview Road. They arrive at the house at 6:03 a.m.
As they drive over to Fairview, both Jennifer and Carrie agree. Karen is asking about those women John had dated in the neighborhood and if he could be at one of their houses. And she is very upset about this. Jennifer describes Karen as irrational and spiraling further and further out of control. And we heard that tone in the voicemails she left John throughout the night. Karen believes John is cheating on her. She's convinced of this. They soon come to the tree line between 34 Fairview and the neighbor, where there is a flagpole and fire hydrant in the front of Jennifer's sister's property.
We drive past the flagpole area, and all of a sudden, Karen starts screaming, there he is, and she's banging to get out.
Jennifer says that Karen sees John almost immediately as they pull in front of the property, which makes sense, I think, because Karen is looking for it. And also perhaps coming to a realization that she'd done something the previous night while intoxicated, that she is
He said he was sinister. Hold on. That's the
now realizing that almost immediately,
like she's like, let's go here, let's
indication that anyone besides Karen Reed was acting erratically or sinisterly. In fact, as he mentioned, to make sure John is dead when they arrive at Fairview.
Here we go.
I don't buy this argument. I don't see within the evidence any indication that anyone besides Karen Reed was acting erratically or sinisterly. In fact, everything Jennifer and Carrie do is entirely.
I don't see in the evidence that anyone was acting erratically or sinisterly. Sinisterly. There, you heard it right there. What evidence is there that Karen Reed's acting sinisterly? What? Oh, what a douche.
Really understand Jennifer that tone in front of Jennifer's sister's property.
We drive past the flagpole area, and all of a sudden, Karen starts screaming, there he is, and she's banging to get out.
Done something the previous night while intoxicated that she is now realizing for the first time. Carrie Roberts remembers the moment this way.
Jen said, my sister's house is right up here. And all of a sudden, Karen said, there he is. Let me the F out of this car. And she started.
Karen is lying on top of John, bare stomach to bare stomach, perhaps trying to warm him up. She is crying and screaming.
Yeah.
But John is already dead.
But she didn't call 911. So that's
Jennifer McCabe calls 911.
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow.
You're in Canton? Hold on. I'm going to police call. You connected to Dono, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the F1000. That's that line.
I think you guys are hearing ASAP, okay?
I'm going to transfer line. I'm going to transfer again.
Okay. I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Harry.
911 return.
Someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow? 34?
Yes, 34 the Albert resident. Yes, I just pulled up and found it.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass. Yeah.
911 is on report. Where's emergency?
I don't know.
Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Did he blew it all?
He's got to get here. Okay.
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
That's his girlfriend. His name is John Keith.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46? How long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
is he crazy?
A couple of hours. Is he Carrie?
He got out of the car. He got out of the car.
I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to it's in his body and it's hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask me? I know it's tough, but we already have the 500 gallon. I just got to know.
Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Yeah, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we have the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
Oh, right outside the car. I know, I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know. Just Carrie, you gotta get off him, honey. Carrie, you gotta get off of him.
You know if there's any alcohol or drugs involved?
They had been out. They've been out drinking? Yes, but I'm talking hours ago, maybe. And I don't know how long he's been.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face? All right.
Yes.
How big the pool of blood is, if there is any?
Something's coming out of the nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay.
Carrie tells Jennifer to grab a few blankets she has in the back of her vehicle. She thinks there still might be a chance to save him. Jennifer finds a blanket and walks over. Visibility, I think it's important to note, is terrible. The snow is coming down nearly sideways, and it's coming down hard. The first Canton police officer arrives. Other first responders begin to show up, EMTs, fire, additional Canton police officers. If you recall, a sergeant in charge of detectives, who will soon become the Canton deputy police chief, lives diagonally across the street from 34 Fairview. Even with the snow coming down, it seems to me near impossible not to see all the lights and commotion going on in front of the Albert's house. But that sergeant in charge of detectives still has not come out of his house. And
where is Brian Albert?
wouldn't he be informed immediately about a fellow police officer fighting for his life on the front lawn of another police officer's property? It's just as well. Because what the future deputy chief does have is a ring camera pointing directly in the line of sight where John O'Keefe is located.
Right.
So if Karen Reed did accidentally or even intentionally hit him, same as several other nearby homes, the future assistant chief is potentially sitting on a video recording of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Something else now begins to take place at 34 Fairview, not long after those first responders arrived.
There's nothing.
Miss Reed just continued to run around screaming. As more officers and EMT arrived, they asked what happened. One EMT asked, his name, his age, things like that.
So let me stop right there, right? So real quick, we're going to play this douchebag. We're going to go back to my interview with him that I had. Okay. Let's go back to my interview with him that I had last month. Okay. And again, I tried my best to prop this guy up. I tried, but he failed. Like, this was supposed to be a promotional thing. Like, let's get people to like this thing. Let's get people to subscribe. Let's build some buzz. We're supposed to be business partners here. Right. And then I've never seen somebody fuck up an interview this badly before and lose an audience as quickly as he did. And
I just wish, but last thing I'll say is I just wish the murderer, half the community believes she didn't do it. But there was no protesting. There was no name calling, no Christy Pan, but there was none of that shit going on. There was just like,
yeah.
I mean, I've been threatened because I wrote the book, of course. So I'm the bad guy for telling the story. So, but I've never seen anything of this nature. What I see in this case is, for the first time, I think, in a murder story is I see like social media, like it's live. It's come out of the internet and it's live on.
Yeah.
It's strange that you're interviewing Turtleboy. I didn't think you would do something like that.
Like what? Talk to the guy that started the whole thing?
What people are telling him.
And I simply, my answer to that is very simple. It's like, you cannot tell this story without without you in it. You've become part of the story. So that was very interesting to me in many respects. Of course, we're different types of journalists. I'll just put different types there. We're not the same type of journalists. And
he's very serious. You are.
Well, look, that brings me to another point. I'm really, it's really amazing to me and really upsetting to me and very strange to me that people are personally attacked and just ripped to shreds online for their opinions about a case, be it for Karen Reed or against Karen Reed. And I find this very compelling. I mean, but one of the biggest things for me here is
condescending. Exactly, Richie.
Forgotten in all of this is John O'Keefe, and I'm a victim's advocate. I told you about my personal situation last time.
It's as soon as I heard this, I'm a victim's advocate. That John O'Keefe has been forgotten in this. As soon as I heard that, I knew it. Like that John, like, you lying motherfucker. John O'Keefe has not been forgotten in all of this. We're out there every day holding signs saying justice for John O'Keefe. What are you talking about? I would argue that amongst victims, he's more recognizable than most people in famous murder cases. Nobody talks about the Nicole Brown murder, okay, or Andrew Goldman murder. It's the O.J. Simpson case. In this case, nobody talks about, the George and Kitty Menendez story. No, it's the Menendez brothers. The alleged murderer is always the one who gets the most attention, always, because they're the one alive in court. They're all eyes are on them. We know John O'Keefe has not been, as soon as he said this, that is a McAlbert talking point that is used to deflect from the fact that we are looking for justice for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. And they don't want us doing that. So they say, you're not talking enough about John. Talk about the fact that he owned a car. That's what's really important. Talk about the fact that he would take his shirt off the back for anyone. That's what's really important for Johnny.
Right. Time dedicated to.
And no, I'm just saying, because that's a criticism that he's dead. And
he needs to be remembered. He needs to be talked about. He needs to be memorialized. So
he needs to be memorialized. Like we haven't fucking been doing that. And you just got here, dude. You just got here. You just suddenly took an interest in this case. And you're telling us, who have been memorializing John O'Keefe this entire time, that we're not doing a good enough job of that. Fuck off. That's what I should have told him.
But it happens in every murder case. This is not unique to this case. It's just something that I always advocate for whenever I do a book, whenever I do a documentary, whenever I do a podcast. I spend time talking about the victim. So in order to do that here, I have to
Reed's guilty. There is plenty of people who, quote unquote, knew John, who support Karen Reed. And I'm not sure if you got a chance to talk to any of them.
I've spoken to one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spoken to one. So
aka Goat Boy on Twitter, who is calling him out, by the way, for this bullshit, who is extremely disappointed in this.
Want to say about that is that I've also spoken to people who are just afraid to come forward because of the attacks that they will get.
Oh, right.
They're afraid to come out and speak because of the attacks they'll get. There's also people who have signed deals for, Netflix and other things who can't speak.
The people can't speak. Oh, the O'Keefes. The O'Keefes didn't want to speak to him, shockingly. And the fake victim also told him that he had that she has a movie deal and couldn't do this with him.
They lied to you. I know the one person completely lied
with this.
Wow. And she's a talker. I mean, that's interesting because Natalie loves to talk. So that's interesting.
Natalie wouldn't talk to him.
She's the reason kind of that I got. I mean, not the reason, but insight on who you've spoken to that that no one else has. Is there anyone out there?
Yeah.
Jurors.
Well, you've spoken to them, but
are we allowed to say that? Are we allowed to say who or what these people, who these people are, or is that something you want to say?
Let's hold that between me and you close to the vest there.
Okay. Okay.
So,
yeah, right.
And look, and we've talked about this, you and I. And I also want to say something too that is important to me to say that. And I don't know if this your people, your fans, Turtle Riders,
correct.
If they're, I think most might be, or some may be aware of this, but I've seen some criticism of you
Do
and
love
some really
people.
bad, nasty attacks on your marriage.
He says something nice here.
And I've spent time with you and your kids, and you know none of that's true. None of that is true. So
I have great
proven people haven't been charged for.
He was actually here one time, like while I was doing a podcast. Like my kids were here, walking around, like, and you know, I stopped the podcast several times to like tend to them. Like it's like, and that's what I mean by this guy. Like he's seen me in action. He knows I'm not. So like that's one thing. At least he said, "Oh, all this, yeah, no shit, dude. Everybody knows I'm not
jail for." Because it's all just bullshit talk to me, you know. So I'm interested in the truth, you know.
Right.
I'm interested in the facts, the truth, and I guess he said too. I'll say that
facts.
You know, an isolated clip in 144 characters is not. And
I'll tell you another thing he said to me when he came in. This is how I knew things were going downhill. He came in here one day and was like, "Hey, so I watched this video. Like Krusty Panties did a hit piece video on me." Using some Twitter account called Jake's Son. Krusty Panties clearly made it. And it was like a collection of things that I said about the Sandra Birchmore situation. How I said that like that basically she blackmailed Matthew Farwell, which she did. It was a blackmail baby. And you know, how he's a fucking idiot. Like I'm just like, this guy's a fucking moron. Should have got a fucking vasectomy. What the fuck is wrong with him? Shouldn't be fucking kids. Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she takes out of context things and puts it in the clip. And only an idiot would think that that's a legitimate picture of who I am. So he tells me, he's like, can you do me a favor? Can you take that video down? The video I don't own, like Krusty Panties made a montage of me. And he's like, can you want me to take down a Krusty Panties montage? He's like, you didn't do that? I'm like, bro, she took shit out of context and put it together. That's what she always does. No, I can't take her shit down. What are you talking? Did you even listen to the whole fucking thing? The fact that you were fooled by that tells me everything I need to know about how fucking stupid you are and what a boomer you are for the, like, bro, is this your first time on the fucking internet?
This case here, it's so important to look at the totality of this case.
Like, why is he watching her? Go back earlier and look at who he follows on Twitter. Just look who he follows on Twitter.
Not chosen pieces of the whole, if you will. It's important to look at this case as a totality, especially when we get into the investigation part of it. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
I mean, that's what people ultimately want to know.
So Malika asks him, look at this. So I gave him this as a softball. So she asks him, so Phelps, do you believe Karen is innocent or guilty? And he goes, I'm not going to answer that question. I highlighted that comment specifically because I'm giving him a softball. Like, here you go. Hit it out of the park, my dude. Alley-oop. Dunk that shit. My audience wants to hear she's fucking innocent because she is. And we have no appetite for fence sitters. There's no market for that. There's a huge market for Karen Read is innocent based on the popularity of Julie Miller's Vanity Fair article. Like that's it. That's like the best story we've seen on this. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's sharing it. So this is me lobbing it up and he fucks it up. He's fucking up business. And this was the moment a lot of you people realized that this is going to be a shitty fucking podcast. This mediocre dude is up here talking about, I'm not going to answer that. Why not?
Well, you know, and here's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to, that's not part of what I do. I mean, I'm in this, I'm a central guy. I'm coming out in this and I'm presenting the facts, you know?
Okay. So devil's advocate here. Cause I get that. And
we've talked about this amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
You know that, you know how I feel about certain aspects of this case and how I feel about certain other aspects of this case.
Right.
And I can tell you this, murder is not complicated.
No,
when you investigate, well, when you look at any murder, it's not one way or the other here. I'm going to allow people to speak, you know, and you know, you do a lot of speaking. Other people speak, as you mentioned, You did mention
because I'll just say that okay, I have no fucking clue who Sean McGulf talks to, so I can't verify what.
I'd like to have some of that experience into the podcast and see what he has to say. You know,
I ask, like, I was just gonna say this. It's like, because I get that you do true crime, and in most stories you want to share both sides of it, and I get that. To me, and to a lot of my followers, when they look at this, it's like, this ain't that story. Like, it would be like if you were a historian, or if you're Ken Burns and you're like, you know what, I'm going to make a documentary on the Third Reich, and I want to get Hitler's perspective. You know what I mean? I just want to get his perspective. Like, tell us why gassing the Jews was a good thing. Like, tell me why you think that. Like, we should really hear from. That's the way the majority of people watching right now. That's the way we do this. Is that like the other side is fucking stupid, and like the dumbest people in the world are on the other side, the Plevins of the world, the liars of the mentally unbalanced people. It's a very small percentage of the population, and so that's why I think when 2020 tried to produce their whole balanced whatever, it's a complete lie. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Well, first of all, I don't want to ascribe to the opinions you gave about people and all that. That's not, I don't do that. So and the Hitler thing, I'm just going to stay away from that.
You got the Hitler thing. You get my point, dude. You get my point.
My point with that, right? That like not everything deserves, not everything is a both sides thing.
And that's not what this is. This isn't a seesaw back and forth. That's not what I'm saying here. I think you are now. Well, let's give it some context, because everything deserves context. I have a podcast, Paper Ghosts, and that's an investigative podcast. Me on the ground. The first season I spent 12 years producing.
On the ground.
The second season I spent 5 years. The third season,
he's not listening.
So those are investigations that I've conducted with unsolved murders. And I'm on the ground, be it in Canada, in tech, wherever it takes me, and I am investigating that, and I am giving my take on what's going on. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm doing here. You're not. Your both sides comment. That's not what this is. This is, I'm trying to figure out the truth here through all the noise. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're trying to figure out the truth through the noise by making up theories about Karen's dad orchestrating a cover up. Okay.
You're the person who you look, and I say this, I've said it before, and I say it in the podcast. Arguably, you have done more research than anybody in this case. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. You've had good sources, you've broken exclusive information.
And if you listen to his podcast, he just constantly talks about, I've done hundreds of cases and I've done this. Like, bro, we get it. We fucking get it. You're a big superstar in the true crime. We get it.
And I don't know how many posts.
Yeah, I was at the trial. I became I've been down there knocking on doors, interviewing people, doing my thing. No one else did.
So that's an important story to tell. And I will be supplementing that, with other interviews, obviously. And it's not this tit for tat thing. It's not a tit for tat thing. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm trying to do is, one of my expertise is documents. So I probably viewed hundreds of thousands of pages of documents in murder cases over 25 years.
Hundreds of thousands.
Especially crime scene photos, all that stuff. So I rely a lot on documents. So there's a lot of documentation in this case, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I've shown up at your house or in Southie, wherever, the questions I've asked you are based on what I've looked at in the documentation.
Right.
And you give your explanation for that, right?
Always come with receipts, always.
Yeah. So I come to you and I say, what happened here? I mean, why, what's this? And then you give your explanation. So it's not a thing where I would go and speak to someone on the other side and say, well, Turtleboy said this. What do you think? That's not what this is at all. It's a narrative. It's a comprehensive narrative in this case, because really, for the most part, we're kind of in a vacuum here in New England. The rest of the country has not heard about this case. It's not like this is a huge case when you start going out into the true crime world.
It's not a huge case in the true crime world, bro. Tell that to the people in Melbourne, Australia, holding standouts. Tell that to them. Tell that to the fucking people who flew across the ocean from England to sit outside Dedham Superior Courthouse. Tell that to them. The people from Arkansas or Dallas who came to the fucking, or Arizona who came to the fucking Halloween party. What the fuck are you talking about? This is the biggest true crime story in the country by far. Nothing compares. Really?
It's not.
I don't know. It got a shit ton of views every time. Like when I go on Law and Crimes or Court TV's thing, and I compare Karen Reed views to like any other Chad Daybell, like any of the other competing ones.
Angle, twist and turn. They don't know it like that out
every fucking time. Like I think this is my audience used to be local. It is international now.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is they don't know the case, right? They don't know it like it's known here in New England. Like
they don't know. Not like me. Not like Matt Phelps. Nobody knows the case like Matt Phelps. I guarantee you these fucking people from Australia and England and Arizona and Arkansas and Texas and everywhere else know this case better than this dude. They know that Jennifer McCabe denies deleting any text messages. They know that. Okay. They know the case better than you.
Single twist and turn. They don't know it like that out in the true crime world. A lot of people you mentioned, Karen Reed in the true crime space, Karen Reed, they're like, didn't she car, what, the police officer?
Oh, yeah.
So they don't really know the case, the ins and outs of it, is what I'm saying. So this case, this podcast will give everybody a full view of what this case is and the complexities of this case, the complex characters in this case, the liars in this case, the absolute incompetence of law enforcement in this case. So it really is gonna key on a lot of that stuff.
Well, what makes this audience, my audience, is these people are fucking informed, man. The people watching, we're doing a Q&A trivia next Friday, and And I am going to have to come up with some tough fucking questions because, like, if I ask, some basic shit,
We're
like,
almost done.
who texted each other at 2:22? Like, let me ask the chat right now. Which two people texted each other, or which two people called each other at 2:22 in the morning for 22 seconds? Go ahead, chat. Tell me which two people did that. Watch how many people are going to get this answer right. It's going to be fucking hundreds of people right now. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here they start coming in. Here they start fucking coming in. They're all good. Brian and Brian. Like, that's just one question. These people know fucking everything about this case. Like, I've never seen anything like it before.
I bet you
how invested people get in the documents. It's just been wild.
And can I say that?
You know who I wouldn't know the answer to that question? This guy. And he probably wouldn't be able to tell you. So how did Brian Albert explain that message? What did Brian Albert say about what time he went to bed when he was in front of the grand jury? How did he explain that? Do you know about the butt call? What about the butt answer while he was butt fucking? Do you know about that?
It's important to say that information is one thing, but having the experience and the context to look at that information is another thing.
There it is. So there's the comment right there. Listen to what he says. This is what he thinks of you people. Listen to this.
Can I say that it's important to say that information is one thing, but having the experience and the context to look at that information is another thing. So
you guys might know shit. You might be smart. You might be well informed. You might know more than him, but you don't have the experience. You haven't written 50 leather-bound books. You haven't done 200 true crime podcasts. You're not a famous fucking podcaster like Grant Smith Phelps here. Okay. You're not. You guys wouldn't understand that's the most elitist thing he said. Yeah, you guys might know it. You might be smarter than me, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what to do with that evidence. I'll leave it to the fucking professionals. Not like Turtleboy with his 2.08 GPA.
So you have to really know what you're looking at, what you're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. You have to know, what evidence actually is, what fact actually is, and what is not, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, sure. People watched, a lot of people streamed this trial when it was live. I mean, it was, big news around here. So people know what people said. I don't argue with that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I got a show coming up about rubber duckies I got to get into now because if you didn't see the latest thing, Detective 𝗵𝗂𝗏.
Yeah.
So I got to.
And I saw one comment there. Be nice to our
Yeah,
guest.
that's a clear. That's Will. Will's a great guy. Will's a big content creator. He's been awesome. He's another guy I met through this. He lives in Tennessee. He's a true crime guy. I guess it would be his genre before this. Kind of true crime with a dash of drama. And he has been he's like me, fully invested in Kearney's innocence. I've met him twice. He was just here this weekend, so he's a good guy.
You lose credibility with me, not you. But last thing I'll say is I just wish, but it won't happen here in this case, but that people would just be allowed to speak their opinions without being attacked, and especially personal attacks. That to me is where you lose credibility with me, not you. But people out there lose credibility when they start making it personal because it should be.
We're sent to jail.
Or sent to jail.
Like, that's
like me. That's me, dude. By the way, I'm talking about myself there. So anyway, I mean, God knows what he's going to say in the part where I get arrested. God help this motherfucker if he gives any credibility to the fake victim. I will fucking sue his ass. I swear to fucking God, if he makes up some shit with that and says she's credible, oh my fucking God. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, why don't I read some more turtle chats, and then if we don't have any, is this late, motherfucker? But there's still over 4,000 of you motherfuckers here. Like, goddamn love you people. Holy shit, you're amazing. Melissa sends $10 and says, your manager, the entertainment lawyer, needs a state bar complaint. Him representing both of you is a total conflict of interest unless you have both expressly waived such conflict in writing. I mean, we kind of did by signing it, right? I don't know how that works, but anyway, thank you, Melissa. Emmy sends $50 and goes, Aidan, and that's why I need to talk to a lawyer. Aidan, I've moved across the country to help take care of my 93-year-old dad. It's been hectic, but you are the show that keeps me grounded. You and your show keeps me grounded. F Matt, he sucks all the dicks. Thanks, Emmy. All of them. Just every single one. That's not a fact, though. I want to be I'm sticking to the facts like Matt Phelps. Okay. Thank you very much, Emmy. Josephine sends $5 and goes, why didn't Jen remember Karen was at 34 Fairview when they talked the first time? Matt had to remind her and she called Karen back. I don't know. A lot of shit like that doesn't make sense. Thank you. Brandon sends $5 and says, do you think DB Cooper had military experience? I don't know. Thank you, Brandon. Danielle sends $25 and goes, another thank you for all you do. Love you, Doc. And fuck you, Matt Phelps. Pull up, bitch. Bang, bang. Not my words. Thank you very much, Danielle. I appreciate that. Thank you. BLT sends $25, says, Jesus fucking Christ, Turtleboy. I don't have much, but here's $25 for your new attorney fund, just in case. Lots of respect for you, and you're great in it, but I cannot handle this podcast. What a bandwagon instigator this guy is. I'll say it for you. He's a loser. Fuck him. Love you. Thank you very much, BLT. I appreciate that. Edibolter Nunez sends 10 and says, no one ever speaks about the unknown tall male that walked into 34 Fairview. I know. Yeah, I did it for a little bit. There's a lot to talk about. Brian Higgins testified to this. Is this his way of confirming indirectly that John was inside 34 Fairview? I've always said that. That was like, whoa, when he said that bombshell, that is his way of covering for himself if and when the day comes that the FBI can confront him with evidence that John's in the house. He's like, oh, I told you a tall guy walked in the house. Let's talk about John. Yeah. Thank you. Krusty Panties sends $20. Krusty's Panties. Clarence, the way you say, okay, cool, makes me tingle inside. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you. Phil sends $10 and says, why did Kerry and Jen take Karen back to John's house before going to Fairview? Full stop. Make it make sense. Bingo, brother. Bingo. Why are they suggesting that she might be back there? Why don't, especially Jen? She said you dropped him off there. I mean, that's the disconnect. She drops him off there. Jen says he never went in the house. Well, let's go fucking over there. Let's check it out. Instead, she's like, let's go back to where you just fucking were. That makes a shit ton of sense to absolutely nobody. Thank you very much, Phil. Lisa sends $10 and goes, hey, Turtleboy, thanks for fighting the good fight. Phelps should have been transparent from the get-go. I know you asked him if he thinks she's innocent. I know. I mean, I was led to believe that he thought she was innocent based on his conversations with me. Thank you. 25 from Eileen and says, fuck them all. We love you. And Karen, KKR, FTB. I don't know what that means, but thank you very much, Eileen. Thank you. Brenda sends $10 and goes, Phelps only did this podcast to try to make money off of your followers. He's okay. I got that already. I read that one. Okay. I think I had a couple turtle chats here to bang out. We have here Emmy sends $5 and says, fuck you, Matt. You suck. Okay. Thank you, Emmy. She also sent $25 earlier and didn't say anything. So thank you. Tyrone sends $10 and says, Rich seems to be a bit cunty. Rich. Okay. And Phelps seems to be a bit cunty. I'm like, who else is Rich? Thank you. And Russell sends $10 and goes, happy birthday, Penguin. It's not Krusty's birthday today, is it? Okay. All right. Anyway, anybody have any last comments? I got to take a leak wicked bad, and I kind of want to call it a night. But anyway, I mean, you were nice to him, bro. Will was so nice to him that night. He's like, everybody was shitting on him. And he's like, let's give this guy a chance. Because Will's like a nice guy, you know, he's always playing that role. Let's think the best of everyone. Let's be polite and give him credit for coming on here. You did your job, man. I did too. I tried being nice to him too, but like, bro, this is shit. I would never agree to sign on to something like this. I feel betrayed by my manager that he should be apologizing to me, the manager. Like, I'm really sorry about this, dude. I know how passionate you are about this case. I know you'd never want to be associated with a podcast. I know you'd never agree to this. I don't know why he's doing this. He's usually pretty cool, but I don't know, something's wrong, but let's just go make some money. If he had said something like that, I would get it. But instead it's like, no, Phelps is great. Like, bro, okay, I get it. You got a thing for Phelps. Got it. It's obviously a conflict here. Obviously a conflict here. Okay. And again, I'll be fine with or without this, but I'm not going to let him. What I'm worried about is he's going to keep 100% of the money. And I'm not going to let him do that because I put my fucking labor into this shit, a lot of hours into this. And I'm not letting him do that because he doesn't like me sharing my opinions on him. Fuck that. If the podcast isn't doing well, it's because of him. Like I should be suing him. Like, you made a shitty fucking podcast. And like I warned you, this was a bad fucking idea to take that angle, and you didn't listen because you're the fucking smartest guy in the room, but you ain't. You ain't. I know I didn't get a fucking 4.0 in college, but Jesus Christ, I'm pretty good at what I do. But anyway, guys, I am going to. You guys were all right. Let me just say, you guys were all right with your comments that night. God bless you. It's not that I doubted you, I had a bad feeling after that night too, but I still like professionally had to be like, oh, let's give this guy a chance, guys, because we hadn't heard the podcast yet. And then I heard it and I'm like, okay. The first one, I'm like, Meredith told me, she's like, some of the slights at me. I'm like, I look past it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. Episode 2, Jen McCabe is credible. Okay, we're getting this close to being like, this is fucking horrible. Episode 3, Karen Reed's dad fucking lied about her being suicide. Okay, we're done here. Like this guy can't be saved. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna call it a night, guys. I love you fine people so much. Thank you for all the support through all this. And yeah, free Karen Reed, baby. Free Turtleboy. Get justice for John O'Keefe. All that fun shit. Free the Canton 9. Free the Duckies. Love you fine people. We'll talk soon. All right. Peace, Turtle Riders.